Chapter 496, A War Puppet's Might. Chapter 496, A War Puppet's Might. Formation. Let's show this savage wolf just how wrong he is. Luo Yunhai shouted. The war puppets moved into the formation they had practiced for a short couple of months. The awkwardness was still there, but the foundation was steady as each soldier was an expert by himself. The sky was saturated with raw power, its volatile nature stabbing Jarlahan and his men into backing away. Jarlahan was speechless and sweat poured down on him. What the hell kind of division is this? How is it so monstrous? They're only 100,000 men, yet are proving to be more than enough to offset the numerical disadvantage. It's like fighting 1,000,000 veterans. He was better off not knowing. This display of power had him on the verge of wetting himself. 5,000 Radiant Stage experts, close to 40,000 Profound Heaven experts, and the rest were in the bone tempering stage. Such a lineup had long since stopped being a band of freaks and monsters. It was downright cheating. Bone tempering experts were the cream of an army to begin with. Profound Heaven experts would be generals, rarer than rare. While Radiant Stage experts would be gods of war, unstoppable high generals. That was where the 8 Wolf Wardens and 4 Tigers of Tianyu stood. Your common soldier would only ever be in the Qi condensation stage. An army's power had nothing to do with strength per se, but relied on formations. Combining their meager efforts into a well-oiled killing machine. But the sight of close to 50,000 men being made up of Radiant Stage and Profound Heaven experts had this veteran of countless bloody battles and gruesome slaughters soiling himself. Dude, don't tease me. Since when did the world have such an army? Who in their right mind accepts becoming a common soldier with that power in them? A venerable or an elder has a better future. The likes of those joining the war effort were the great minority, and that was only because they were raised in a military environment. But this division here is an abomination. Finding further explanation unnecessary thanks to Jarlahan's dumb look, Luo Yunhai grinned. Savage wolf, see that? This is the Flying Tiger army that our dear Marshal Zhuo has trained personally and gave to me to command. Do you mind taking it for a spin? Smiley face. The character for train here has multiple meanings, including refining. So think of it as refined by fire. While in this army's case it is quite literal. Zechua Fan's soldiers. Jarlahan's mouth fell, not liking his situation one bit. Damn you, Zhuo Fan. Keep your freakiness to yourself. Don't spread it around. How did he train them? And how the hell am I supposed to win? Taking a deep breath to gather a semblance of reason, he shouted, fall back. Like a good wolf, he led by example, taking flight first. The Chuanrong soldiers were still out of it. The sight of the savage and brash great General Jarlahan fleeing in panic was a first for them. Moments later, they followed suit. For even the general to abandon ship, it only went to show that the enemy was far above their station. This had never happened to the Chuanrong army before, and by God, was it embarrassing. Luo Yunhai smiled and shouted, a team of 100 Radiant Stage experts is to go get me that savage wolf. Crush the rest. Yes, sir. With a brief salute, they got to work like demons from hell. Luo Yunhai's men dove into the savage wolf's division. And all they had was but a crushing advantage in terms of cultivation to initiate the culling. The sky sang with the mournful cries of the defeated. Savage Wolf lost half his men in a jiffy. Though the fleeing general had a big part to play, the division had lost the will to hold their formation. Not that it would have made much of a difference. The war puppets would still cut through them. Jarlahan sped like a wild beast, an exercise in futility against Radiant Stage experts. They still caught up. Jarlahan was devastated. These experts weren't just many in numbers, they even had wings. How was he supposed to even escape? Rotten piece of filth, Zhuo Fan, how filthy rich are you? Did you feed them money as training? There was no way out. Jarlahan sighed at the sky, finding heaven against him. What should have been an easy job laying in wait for rats to swarm the camp, those little rats turned on him like tigers. Now he'd be chewed down to nothing. He should have let someone else take this job. Hindsight never was much help to anyone, not in his position at least. All that was left for him was to go down in a blaze of glory. Jarlahan exploded with power. I am one of the 8 Wolf Wardens, my strength divine, tearing at spiritual beasts for as long as I can remember, and the best warrior in Chuanrong. Come and get me. His audience chuckled with a playful look. Zhuo Fan had refined these war puppets. Besides the soul, every single cell had gone through inhuman refining. Let's see you tear steel. One war puppet shot towards him. Jarlahan grabbed him and pulled crack. The snapping of bones was music to his ears. When teammates saw one of them getting torn apart, they'd be wrecked with fear, thinking they'd be next no matter how many they were. The panic would leave room for error and a way out, but his smile was short-lived. Disillusioned with his plan, his arms hung powerless from his shoulders. That snapping sound had come from his arms. Jarlahan watched him with shock. "Dude, you're a body cultivating expert?" "Never done it in my life. This steel body is courtesy of Steward Schwer, to all of us. All that raw power won't do you good here. You won't be tearing anything," he laughed. Jarlahan was dumbstruck, watching the 100 men with an ashen face. The grand numero uno Chuanrong warrior just got kicked 100 paces back in Tianyu. Scratch that, 100,000. Jarlahan made such a funny face, like a kicked puppy. "Is Luo clan a realm of freaks? Why are you all so damn abnormal?" The others laughed in pride. It was finally their turn to mess with others. This is the feeling of strength. They sealed Jarlahan's cultivation, making him captive back at the battlefield. The three wolves watched their camp with worry. The wails and cries weren't helping either, though it did bring a smile to the tiger's Howling Wind Wolf. "Leave it to us and go save Commander," Zhebi said. Howling Wind Wolf nodded, just as he heard Dugu Feng's mockery. "Too little too late. But by all means, go for it. You'll just find your dear Commander Tuba in Fifth's chains. You'll only be making it easier for us, going there to surrender. This battle is our win. Don't bet on it." The wolves turned towards the voice in shock. "The commander?" Men made way for the incoming Slaughter Wolf's division. Next to him was a man in a deputy's clothes. Taking off his helmet, the Grand Commander of the Chuanrong army revealed his location. Around him were Tuba Liana and his guards Tuoba Taizhan. "So that's where you are?" Dugu Feng cried. Tuoba Taizhan nodded in pride. "I've studied Fan's style and know he is good at using tricks. And since you're at a disadvantage, the only way to win is by taking the head. That being said, I laid an ambush in my place at the camp. And just like I figured, you went for it." Dugu Feng fell silent. Zhebi and the other two were lost. Slaughter Wolf explained, "The deployment of all 8 wolf wardens was a ruse. Commander and young Miss had been by my side while the young master was the stand-in to draw your attention. While Jarlahan's division was fake, he was in fact waiting to spring the trap on the camp. Everything went just like Commander anticipated. This way their strength will fall and taking Windgaze City will be even easier." This explanation shed light on the situation while filling the wardens with utmost respect for Tuoba Taizhan. It was then that a flash of fire covered the sky, unleashing a monumental explosion and adding its own, particular, light to the battlefield. Chapter 497, Total Victory. Chapter 497, Total Victory. Tuoba Taizhan frowned at the flaming corona and a bad feeling overcame him. "Just what are you planning? Is that an ambush? Ha ha ha, the few you see here are the only ones that can fight." "What ambush?" Then, Tuoba Taizhan looked Dugu Feng dead in the eye. Dugu Feng's mouth perked up. "Ha ha ha, Tuoba Taizhan, you fell for it. There's no getting out of this one." Tuoba Taizhan squinted. "Forgive this old man for not making sense of anything you just said. Tuoba Taizhan, just like you said, we're short on manpower, robbed of the option to meet you in open battle. Victory can only come by taking the leader. No matter how important the main camp is, the commander had to be safe at all times, to lead the army. Marshal Zhuo figured you'd ditch the camp and hide among your troops." Dugu Feng snorted. Tuoba Taizhan gasped. "What's the point of striking my camp then? Bait." Dugu Feng laughed. "In Marshall's immortal words, all big guys like to work it, either openly or hidden. Whether we stormed the stand-in commander's camp or Fifth went for it, both would achieve their purpose as bait, to flush you out and have you explain your grand plan in a glorious fashion. Ha ha ha." Tuoba Taizhan flushed and coughed. Explaining the enemy's ploy was one of the rare joys of a commander, filling him with pride. Yet to use such a glaring weakness had the old man embarrassed. "I'm not one to be haughty, just a bit prideful." "Is that so bad?" Tuoba Taizhan cooled and asked, "What's the point of it all, just to take a bite out of me?" "Hardly, though it did do the trick, getting Sir to stick out his neck." Dugu Feng grinned. Tuoba Taizhan shuddered and his instinct screamed at him. Slaughter Wolf mocked, What good will knowing do? I don't see any men you can spare to take him out, do you? Not one extra. They're all you see. Du Gufeng's confidence never dropped though, provided the fifth brother knows your location, he'll be sure to come killing. All that's left is to surrender. Fifth. Humph, you only sent him? Slaughter Wolf sneered. Is your memory on the fritz? Commander just said that Jarlahan is there. He's not coming back. Even if by some miracle he does slip away, by the time he gets here the commander will be gone, to say nothing of us still being around. Yet you are still sticking to that preposterous notion that he'll even touch commander. Du Gufeng showed a vague smile. Wanna bet? Fifth will come any second now with Jarlahan in chains and you'll be soon to follow. There's no way one division holds so much power. That will be outrageous. Slaughter Wolf kept on looking down on them. A cry came just in time to cut him short. General, what is that? And here he comes. Du Gufeng grinned with his brothers. Slaughter Wolf's side stared with dumbfounded and goony looks. A black swarm was flying from the main camp right towards them. What were written off as birds, a closer look found them to be men with wings. This ruthless and savage division had no one else in the lead but Luo Yunhai. What the hell is this? Tuoba Taishan didn't fare any better. Du Gufeng felt generous today. That is the 100,000-strong Flying Tiger Army our marshal trained himself, under Fifth's command. Flying Tiger Army? As in really flying? Tuoba Taishan was slack-jawed. For all his military career, he'd never heard or seen such a division. Dugu Zhantian did attain flight, through a desperate move, but it was short-lived and because of an art. Many soldiers died to fuel the Dragon Soul's skill. While these men each flew by themselves. An army has chi condensation experts as soldiers, bone-tempering experts as elites with a seldom profound heaven or radiant stage here and there. But when flying, they'd leave their division. While half this team is made up of radiant stage and profound heaven stage experts and the rest are bone-tempering men with wings, truly a flying division. Their 100,000 can beat 1,000,000 without any problem. Commander Tuba, let's see you get out of this one. Dugu Lin grinned at the Chuanrong. Slaughter Wolf blurted, profound heaven and radiant stage experts make half of it. That means there's 50,000 experts. Tuoba Taishan was speechless, his mind a wreck. He'd never come close to even considering the possibility that Zhuofan would pull something like this against him. He knew Zhuofan was shifty, outstanding, and a prick, but this was too much. No human could pull this off, not a normal one that is. Tuoba Tieshan's decades of bloodshed on the cruel field of battle had put him face to face with countless opponents. But no one came close to the likes of Zhuofan. He was damn sure there wouldn't be a second either. He's not human. Tuoba Taishan, give up. Luo Yunhai was on top of him with his men. Their crushing aura choking the enemy. Slaughter Wolf brought his men to the front, protect the commander. Slaughter Wolf Division, help me block him. Yes, sir. The men howled. Luo Yunhai shouted, formation tilde, charge. Like a guillotine from the heavens, the two sides slammed into each other. Whoosh tilde Flying Tiger Army ran Slaughter Wolf's division through, killing close to 100,000 and maiming half. Slaughter Wolf himself didn't fare much better, trailing blood on his way to kiss the ground. Luo Yunhai's team just kept on going and going. The other wolves tensed. Slaughter Wolf was the strongest of them all, yet he couldn't do a thing. Looking back at their commander, they all knew they had to meet the enemy if they were to protect him. Sky-piercing Wolf, Howling Wind Wolf and Blood Shadow Wolf were the next to go. The three divisions fused into a mighty attack to meet the Flying Tiger Army's charge. Even behind the formation's aura, Luo Yunhai felt the pressure. Scatter. Luo Yunhai made prompt decisions. The three wolves hit nothing but air. Gather. Luo Yunhai was behind the wolves while the Flying Tiger Army was behind him, ready to attack. The wolves' morale hit rock bottom. They knew how to fight ground battles and could jump, if the situation demanded it. But switching formations wasn't done on the fly. While the Flying Tiger Army had free movement all around them, and could scatter and gather on a whim. The sudden strike from behind had driven them to the brink of despair. Whoosh tilde Flying Tiger Army's charge took down even more men this time. The wolves were flung into the air, out of this fight and out for the count. It was hardly an effort to reach Tuoba Taishan. Looking at his distraught face, Luo Yunhai smiled, speaking from above, "Commander Tuba, you've lost. Surrender now." Tuoba Taishan sighed and shouted, "Soldiers, stop fighting. The Chuanrong army has lost." Tuoba Taishan choked on those words. Getting them out sapped him of every bit of strength, slumping to the ground. He had never known defeat, and now his first one had proved to be devastating. Tuba Liana went to him in tears. Tuoba Liufeng, the stand-in commander, was every bit unwilling, but relented in the end. Everything was going like clockwork, until this freak team showed up, turning everything upside down. All Sage Wufan is shrewd, but pulling out this trick is a complete cheating. Ha ha ha, Tuoba Liufeng mourned his fate. Chapter 498, End. Chapter 498, End. Outside Windgaze City, out of the million men drafted to fight the Chuanrong, barely any had survived. Tianyu had many cultivators, but on the field of battle anything could happen, stopping them from going all out. Lone wolves as they were, they easily fell under the might of Chuanrong's military discipline. These people were in qi condensation or bone tempering stage and were nothing more than cannon fodder. Zhuofan had no hope for cannon fodder, putting them in front of the enemy just to buy Windgaze City some time. The real winning move was executed by the four tigers and Luo Yunhai, although now, this cannon fodder was about to collapse. Windgaze City's gate was about to crumble any second because of the Chuanrong's siege. The house lords standing on the walls were waiting for any sign of Zhuofan. All they had was hope. What stewards were doing? The city's about to fall. It was at that moment that Chuanrong's commander declared surrender. The fighting stopped right away. The Chuanrong were stumped, knowing they had over 2 million men's advantage and were this close to taking the city. Commander's orders left them lost and confused, while the Luo clan's recruits were so touched that they started shedding tears of joy, being able to keep their lives intact. Their next hope was for a reward, hugging a big shot and shooting through ranks. "Mommy, that was tough." Crying sounds came from everywhere. Chuanrong were crying for losing and going home defeated, while the recruits were crying out of joy and their new lease on life. The house lords eased a breath, cheering at the victory if not for seeing it with their own eyes. They'd never have believed that a ragtag bunch labeled an army could win against the likes of God of War that Dugu Zhantian fought for decades. The Chuanrong's elite army, it was like a dream come true. Steward Zhuo is amazing, a miracle worker. The three sages saw the exuberant joy and the crushing sadness being played on everyone's faces and frowned. A commander like Tuoba Taishan had lost to Zhuofan, who was a newbie in the art of war. Human sage, what now? We haven't yet dealt with this little freak. Holding his gesture, Heaven Sage had a tight expression, watching the furious Jiyu Santong Shadow King hesitated. If it were anyone else, our Tribarrier would have had him sapped of strength and they would be dead by now. But this brat is no human to still be so lively. For the love of God, are you that dumb to not be able to see the truth staring you in the face? Does that thing look like a human to know? Earth Sage glared. Shadow King was annoyed. Why not? Forget it. We'll settle our debts with him next time. With us stuck like we are, the Luo clan's men will come for us. Just where in the blazes did Fang Qiubai run off to? I never saw him once during this battle. He'd be able to at least buy us some time. The other sages nodded. Let's take the barrier down and leave. We'll think of something else the next time we deal with the freak. Heaven Sage proposed while they reached a decision. Jiyu Santong was still raging. You no good 2-bit pond scum, once I get out of here, I'll trample you to pieces. The trio jerked back to reality, with Earth Sage saying, let's not do that for now. If we take the barrier down, how will we shake him off our tail? Right at that moment, the Tribarrier suddenly lost its golden glow and right away, Jiyu Santong started snapping the chains binding him like twigs. Heaven and Earth Sages cried out. In their confusion and shock, they turned to the missing Shadow King for answers. The bastard made a run for it. What are you doing, human sage? They shouted at him. Shadow King grinned at them. With the barrier gone, the freak will kill us. It's better if you stall him while I get a head start. You twisted goddamned son of a bitch. You sold us out. The two sages roared at the betrayal. Shadow King perked up. Ha ha ha, you've betrayed me once before as well. This seems only fair. And floored it away, leaving those suckers holding the barrier. Dropping the barrier now would have Jiyu Santong go to town on them. Just looking at him would tell you all about his rage, yet by the sounds of those snapping chains, Jiyu Santong's freedom was but a matter of time. Not to mention the Luo clan was bound to come over any minute now, and then they'd truly be doomed. They were dead no matter how they swung it. The sadness and hatred from having such a fate left them unable to choose. A new voice sounded which seemed to help. Hey, you two, weren't you on Prime Minister Zhuge's side? So you're the Emperor's men. His Majesty sure is insidious. No wonder Zhuge Changfeng had such a cruel fate. The two sages swung around and paled. Zhua Fan. Shouldn't you be dead at the hands of those ethereal stage experts? It's them who are finished. Zhua Fan put on a sadistic smile, revving up the fear the two sages were feeling many times over. If even those three ethereal experts are toast, what'll happen to us? Jiyu Santong twisted his huge body, roaring, Dad, just in time. Kill those bastards. These chains hurt. Giving an assuring wave, Zhua Fan returned to the two oldies. A couple of adults picking on my kid when there's no supervision? Are you taking advantage of my compassionate and merciful heart? These questions drove one painful nail after another into the sages. Not one of you two is normal. It's you who is picking on us. And how the hell are you compassionate? Stop faking sainthood. With Zhua Fan here, they knew their plan to finish off Jiyu Santong was a bust. With a sigh, they entered the pits of despair. They relaxed their hands. Jiyu Santong laughed at his newfound freedom and stomped. Time to die. The two just stood there, welcoming it with no intention of resisting, resigned to their fate's weight. Zhua Fan postponed their deaths. Jiyu Santong's hoof froze. What's up? Young Sanzi, you can't write off chaining you with such a light sentence. Feed them bloodworms. Let your dad handle it. Zhua Fan's grin was about to split his face. Jiyu Santong lit up. Good point. Turning back to his childish self, father and son both grabbed a neck each and clutched. The sages had to open their jaws and cry. Zhua Fan threw a bloodworm in. What the hell did you give us? Heaven Sage shouted. Zhua Fan was vague. The good stuff. Zhua Fan made a sign and the two folded from the gut-wrenching pain. Their eyes were red and were reduced to flopping on the ground in a cacophony of incomprehensible screams of agony. Jiyu Santong clapped, finally getting to dish out some payback. Zhua Fan nodded at his cheerful kid. He had someone take the sages into custody as they returned victorious. Their news of this resounding and total victory spread all over Tianyu. Zhua Fan and Luo clan's fame soared. Luo clan was hailed as the savior of Tianyu. Repelling an enemy invasion was the same as making one a nation's founding father. Not to mention Zhua Fan had started this war on the pretense of helping his lord. Demonstrating to everyone his loyalty towards Tianyu. Oblivious as the people were, the Chuanrong invasion was ushered in on a red carpet by the emperor himself. While Zhua Fan's high-class act in defending his country was just a jab at his lord, shooting for the crown and throne. Moving on, Shadow King was speeding towards the imperial palace to report, but a loud roar from a huge black dragon blocked his path. He didn't even get a peep out, and was swallowed in one gulp. The black dragon flew back into Li Jingtian, the ethereal stage soul shape. Amazing. Qiu Yanghai praised. Last time Shadow King had us on the defensive, but now Elder Li has finished him off in one shot. Such is the gap between stages. Li Jingtian grinned. That brings Steward Shua's tasks to an end. All that's left is to settle it with the Emperor. Chapter 499, Poisoned. Chapter 499, Poisoned. The servants ran to and fro in the imperial palace, hanging lamps and decorations for some big occasion. There was no big celebration though, since the sound of festivities never left the walls of the imperial palace. In the witching hour, the moon hung high in the sky and the imperial palace shone like daylight, revealing four people in the wide hall. The emperor seated on his throne, crown prince on the seat to his right, his largeness to his left, and Princess Yongning was seated further to the left. Two generations of Yuan clan had gathered here for a family picture, while servants stood to the side at attention looking at his children. The aged emperor showed kindness. Today is my birthday. It is not as lively as the celebration I had last year, but it is peaceful. It's been too long since we sat together, as a family. Imperial Father, may you live for millennia, to care for our nation and be carefree. It is my privilege to be here with you and just talk at leisure. Crown Prince bowed. Fatty followed, While Yongning was still sour, flicking her head away, the emperor began, "Crown Prince, I know you always go by the rules, but you are among family here. Can't you let go of those old pedantic and empty formalities? I obey the imperial father's order." Crown Prince bowed again. The emperor sighed, from the imperial power and imperial grief. Even his own flesh and blood treated him like a stranger by comparison. Yongning never had trouble crossing the line many times over with her cheerful nature. Only around her did this old emperor feel like a father should, spoiling his children rotten. He turned to the apple of his eye, not minding it one bit that she always went against him. "Yongning, do you still blame me? It's been 6 months. Imperial father, you brought invaders into our lands, harmed our people, ruined your image, and yet still think it was justified?" Yongning rebutted. The emperor said, "Yongning, to prevent the corrupt world from staining you, I have kept many things hidden from you. One thing you should always remember, everything I do it for you all, for the future of Yuan clan." Cough tilde. The emperor's coughing fit earned Yongning's sympathy, but she toughed it out and refused to forgive her father. The emperor smiled at her worried gaze. He turned to gesture at the empty hall. "Crown Prince, Tsonga, do you recall my last jubilee? With outsiders, officials, and many more coming to show respect. So why is it so empty today?" The two opted for silence. "Isn't it obvious? With so many wars happening one after the other, the factions have all fallen, but coming from the emperor, this question ought to have a deeper meaning. Imperial father, it is because Chuanrong holds us captive." Crown Prince bowed with a prideful smile. "Holding a feast right now will be like declaring that we and Chuanrong are allied. This closed celebration is unworthy of Imperial father, but you always have the grand scheme of things in mind." The emperor nodded. "Crown Prince, you're always so thoughtful and careful in your analysis and affairs. I am relieved." Crown Prince's heart sank. The emperor's praise had a foreboding feeling. Shrewd or thoughtful is the same thing. Relieved? Ha, the slave handles everything while the lord merely orders. Imperial father must mean. Crown Prince's eyes glinted. "Tsonga, what do you think?" The emperor asked. The fatty bowed. "Imperial father, I believe the court is barren as you've removed the rebels. To restore life and prosperity to the court and nation, we have to promote talents to benefit the people and bring back our former glory." The emperor nodded. "Tsonga, you have good eyes." Good, ha ha ha." The emperor returned to his throne. Crown Prince's face was looking gloomier by the second. "For God's sake, Imperial father was testing our policies, not judging how we handle the situation. This was a serious lapse of judgment. Imperial father must like the old third more now." Crown Prince pushed down the answer, returning to his seat morosely. The emperor motioned for the feast to begin, having a nice family dinner. Everyone seemed happy, except Yongning, choosing to ignore her traitorous father. The emperor still watched her with the same fond eyes. Cough tilde. The violent cough turned the emperor pale. A servant rushed over with a bowl. "Your Majesty, please take your medicine." The emperor drank it all. 1 second he felt better and the next he spurted black blood, with black mist hovering around his face. Poison. The emperor groaned. Fatty inspected with caution and Yongning was flustered, rushing to her dear father's side, tearing up, "Imperial father, why is there poison in the medicine?" Fatty and Yongning glared at the servant, but the guy had lost it from fear and was about to soil himself. Poisoning the emperor was a capital offense. Of course he'd panic. A flat voice came. "Imperial father, you have gotten on in years and should pass down the mantle. I ask that you come to a decision." Crown Prince stood up with pride, brushing the non-existent dust off his shoulder. The emperor shook. This news was devastating. With his twisted smile finally out in the open, the Crown Prince admitted to patricide. "It is me. I had someone slip poison in your medicine, a 7th grade poison. Once it sets in, there's no cure. Why, big brother, why must you poison the Imperial father?" Yongning lamented. Fatty glared at him as well. Crown Prince mocked. "Yongning, Imperial father is right, you're too innocent. The less you know the better. I want to know. Tell me what possible reason drove you on the path to regicide and patricide." Yongning shouted. Crown Prince smirked. "You really want to know? Fine, I'll tell you. You call this patricide and regicide. But has dear father ever seen me as a son? I am a mere pawn in his games. How can you speak of your Imperial father like that?" He may have brought invaders to his lands, but he never once treated you wrong. Yongning cried out, filled with disbelief. Crown Prince pointed at the poisoned emperor, his face dark. Ask him, if he has never done it before. Yongning watched the disdain on the emperor's face. Oh? Do tell, Crown Prince, when have I done you wrong? Do you really want me to say it, or is it to understand my thinking? Crown Prince sneered, doesn't matter, I will explain. You made me the Crown Prince of this nation without any intention of handing the throne to me. I am just old Third's shield. Crown Prince flicked a hand at Fatty. The tubby's largeness wobbled in shock. The emperor said, go on. Imperial father, everyone covets the Crown Prince's position. You appointed me early on and had everyone's attention plastered on me so that Fatty will have an easy time filling his future role. Crown Prince squinted. The emperor is ruler supreme and is clear about every little thing happening in Tianyu. Over the decades, it was only the Fatty roaming the lands. You didn't seem to like him, giving him the worst tasks, while you actually favored him the most. You alienated him to protect him. All the tasks you picked for him were to shape him for the throne. While the great Crown Prince was still stuck with a target on his back, drawing everyone's hostility, only to end up kicked to the curb at the end. Crown Prince's eyes were bloodshot. The other two were hateful and unwilling but still turned to the emperor, stunned, yet the emperor only stared back at the Crown Prince. Chapter 500, Good Son. Chapter 500, Good Son. Crown Prince, believe it or not, I have never, not once, abandoned you. The emperor spoke up, but all Crown Prince heard was the most outrageous joke ever, shaking his head. Never? You're still trying to fool me, even now? Your last jubilee made your choice painfully clear. You gave old Second your men, to keep the peace. You gave me a scepter, a symbol of power and fortune, to do as I wished. But tell me, which Crown Prince in our entire dynasty could do as he wished? When have you, Imperial Father, ever managed to do so? It was clear as day that you never cared for this Crown Prince. And what did you say to the Fatty? No reward. Humph, only the Emperor doesn't need a reward in this world. Do you think I am dumb? Big brother, you've got it all wrong. How can you jump to conclusions over some jokes, and think that Imperial Father wants to throw you away? The innocent Yongning stared back at him as Fatty remained silent with his thoughts. The Emperor sighed. Crown Prince, is this why you kept sending assassins after your third brother? What? Yongning cried. Big brother went after third brother too? Crown Prince grinned while the Fatty's face widened. The Emperor sighed. I've known it for years. Crown Prince has sent his men again and again. Even as I had him go to Windgaze City, miles away from the imperial capital, the killer was right behind him. And with the last jubilee, the attempts only intensified. Your brother never once mentioned this, but I'm sure he was aware. Isn't it true, Tsonga? Yes, Imperial Father. Fatty spoke with resolve. The Emperor smiled. Why haven't you told me? All I had was no proof and empty words. Fatty shook his head. The Emperor praised. A real man shows patience, just like a monarch. Crown Prince, you said I favored your third brother, and you're right. But ever stopped to think as to why? You're a stickler for formality and quick to anger. When going after an adversary, either finish him off the first time or you might as well not try at all. In all of your frequent attempts these past years, not once have you prevailed. You are a sore disappointment. Crown Prince gnashed his teeth, face ashen. Yongning watched her father lost. What are you saying, Imperial Father? You would just let them kill each other? This is why I kept you in the dark. The throne is singular and the one to take it is the one to come out on top from the killings. He is the sole ruler of Tianyu, defender of the Yuan clan's domain. He sighed. I never could bear to watch the three brothers tear each other apart, but this is our fate, survival of the fittest. This will reveal the perfect candidate for the crown. Success is built on the bones of others, by killing with impunity, while the throne is created on a mountain of corpses. The Fatty nodded and Yongning was so overwhelmed that her tears never stopped. What kind of family is this? Father against son, son against father. Doesn't anyone have the slightest compassion? Clap tilde. Crown Prince snickered. Imperial Father, you make damn good sense. The sole survivor shall inherit the throne, which would be me. Since we're in understanding, Imperial Father, hurry up and make it happen. It should at least justify my assent. Ha ha ha, Crown Prince, when did I ever say you're fit for it? The Crown Prince spoke. Imperial Father, you said it yourself. The last one to survive will be king. Now that I have dealt with everyone, even you, the throne belongs to me by right of heaven. I'm not finished. The Emperor shook his head. Crown Prince, your methods are ruthless and had good timing, unlike your second brother. But you're just too fixed on your path, too narrow-minded to hold the weight of the lands on your shoulders. Not to mention your short gaze. Like I said, you can't see beyond your nose, unlike your third brother. What a load of crap. Why do I get the feeling that you're still testing our reactions, our policies? Crown Prince bristled. The Emperor mocked, and that's where you are lacking. A ruler has his own reasoning, not jumping to conclusions about everyone's intentions. Following the monarch and going with the flow is how a lackey does it. An emperor needs to be firm, to have his own judgment, and you sorely lack in this department. Enough. You're breathing your last, so stop splitting hairs and give me Tianyu. Crown Prince flicked his hand. The Emperor smiled. Crown Prince, you're not worthy. Guards, to me. 5 radiant stage men landed before the Emperor. Crown Prince was unfazed. Ha ha ha, you've spared nothing in getting rid of Zhuofan, sending even divine dragons and shadow guards. All that's left are the dregs. Men, get them. Whoosh tilde. Behind him were 10 radiant stage experts. The winner was obvious just from numbers alone, although the Emperor kept his cool. Attack. His guards went for it and Crown Prince's men reacted. The Imperial Court became a maelstrom of auras. Emperor's guard fought tooth and nail, even at a disadvantage. Though they lasted only 15 minutes, Crown Prince grinned, his prize within sight. Yet the Emperor still had that unnerving calm. Tsonga, Yongning, turn the dragon head on the throne's left armrest and take the tunnel out of the city. I've already placed the Imperial seal inside. Just take it and flee to Commander Tuba. They should be on their way back from taking Windgaze City. Say you'll rescue the Emperor and he'll help you. The only way to get his share of Tianyu is by having the agreement signed with the seal. He has to help you. Weak as he was, the Emperor showed his mettle. The fatty was overwhelmed by complex emotions. Imperial Father. My time has come. I can only stall them. The Emperor smiled. Father. Yongning sobbed. Fatty saw the Emperor's loving gaze and his insides twisted with indecision. Just as 2 guards fell, the Emperor said, puzzled, Tsonga, why aren't you going? You're not one to be so sensitive. Fatty spoke firmly, we don't need to go. Big brother can't win. The Emperor was taken aback. A white sword strike butted into the fight. Crown Prince's men lost their heads and spurted blood like fountains. Crown Prince panicked. A man in white, of impressive aura and holding a green jade flute, floated there wrapped in green flickers. Fang Qiubai? Why you supposed to be gone? Imperial Father sent you with the Chuanrong. Crown Prince gulped, then flicked his head over to the Emperor. Is this another one of your plans? The Emperor was just as confused. Mr. Fang, I didn't call for you. I did. The stunned Emperor met Fatty's beady green eyes. This day is also the first time I've acted. Master wanted to lend me support for a while. The Emperor shook his head. Tsonga, I have read many people in my life, had the world at my fingertips, but you are the last one I ever expected to elude me. Tsonga, you're truly my one good son. The Emperor spoke heavily, whether from excitement or anger. Chapter 501, Winner. Chapter 501, Winner. Fatty avoided the Emperor's gaze. Father, didn't you say to do it right the first time or don't do it at all? Yes, the Emperor dulled. It was wonderful news that his son had surpassed him, but for the situation to devolve to this state had him forlorn among his sons. He knew them all inside and out, except Fatty, not because he was blinded with fatherly love, but because the kid kept everything too close to the chest for years and years. There was nothing the Emperor could pick on to even make a rough sketch. Crown Prince's greed and hypocrisy, second son's impulsiveness, all were easy targets for his ploy. Only his youngest son never left anything out until the very last moment. The Emperor would welcome his first 2 sons' attacks with open arms, having contingencies in place of course. While his third son's move would come out of the blue. For sure you knew about the Crown Prince's poisoning trick. The Emperor sighed. Fatty nodded. I had planted someone in his circle, but didn't the Imperial Father know about it as well? With your cautious nature, the only way to get poisoned is if you let it happen by choice. What? Crown Prince and Yongning were shocked. The Emperor gave a bitter nod. I did know. But I was even more aware of how my body is waning one excruciating day after another. I realized that using Crown Prince's crimes today will be much better for paving your future. Crown Prince choked. Imperial Father, am I not your son? Why are you using me for him? It's not using you, but simply guiding you. What happened today is because of your greedy nature. The Emperor snickered. You reap all you've sown. A saint is void of desire, though that is easier said than done. Fatty bowed. I shall take it to mind. No, it is I who should. The Emperor said, the last topic was to give the Crown Prince one last chance. He just had to give me a proper response and I wouldn't have drank the poison. Would you have made the same choice, Tsonga? Fatty replied, success is built on the bones of others. No, I would not. I knew I made the right choice. Always strike true or never strike at all. Even if it is your kin that stops you, you shall crush them with the same impunity like anyone else. That's what makes you a ruler. The Emperor praised. Crown Prince was bleeding inside. Princess Yongning watched it all with sightless eyes, before all coming back to her, and she raved, you're insane, everyone's insane. She ran away in tears and bumped into someone's wide chest. As she moved past, the man grabbed her. It's been so long, Princess, but your feisty nature hasn't changed a bit. The imperial family frowned at the familiar tone. Yongning raised her cute face, and welcoming her was Zhuofan's trademark evil smile. Zhuofan. Yongning jumped in his arms, crying for her life. The best steward beneath heaven froze there with a dumb look. Yun Shuang at his side was annoyed for some unknown reason, pulling at Yongning's clothes gently but firmly. Yongning, what's wrong? Yongning just hugged tighter and cried harder. The four tigers of Qianyu's mouth twitched. What's with Marshal always getting the girls? We're no less cooler than him. Just because his marshal title has the cool character inside, does that mean he's the catch? Luo Yunhai held his head high and rolled his eyes. At least my jealous sister isn't here to blow out. Only the elders took it in stride with a vague smile. Steward was a real Casanova, too much in fact. He. With the sobbing princess, Zhuofan was so lost that he had no idea what to do with his hands. Sighing, he knocked her out with a precise blow to the neck. His entourage froze stiff. Steward Zhuo, what are you doing? Li Jingtian asked. Zhuofan handed Yongning over to the dumbstruck Yun Shuang with a shrug. She's just too distraught. This is the only way to cool her down. The hell? Everyone sported dark faces. Steward Zhuo is just too crude. One should treat the fairer sex with compassion. That goes double for the princess. Not rough em up like you, sir. The four tigers of Qianyu cried dry tears. Why is it that a boorish brute gets the girls while we the handsome four get nada? Smiley face. The character for handsome and cool can also mean general commander. Yun Shuang took away her dear sister, but made sure to bore a hole into Zhuofan with her eyes. Though for some unknown and mystical reason, she didn't hate him for it. In fact, she was perkier. At least Zhuofan has no feelings for her. The scared witless servants woke up at Zhuofan's call and took her away while he strutted into the hall. The mastermind, Qianyu's emperor, soon came into sight. Time to end this. The emperor watched them come in with a stunned look. I've lost completely. Fatty watched Zhuofan with a deep look. Ha ha ha, Your Majesty, we meet again. Zhuofan saw the dark-faced emperor, poisoned obviously, and laughed. What's this, a family squabble? The men behind him chuckled. If this is a squabble, then why are there bodies around? I dare not think what a power play would be like. Ignoring his biting words, the emperor said, your arrival means Tuoba Tieshan's defeat. My divine dragons and Shadow Guard won't be returning either, right? Bingo. I, for one, never leave loose ends. Zhuofan chuckled. The truth hurt no matter how much the emperor foresaw it. All he could do was lament. He took a long time to say, Zhuofan, I know all about you and Luo clan. You didn't have the power to succeed, so how? Ha ha ha, it goes on to show, in fact, that you know next to nothing about me. Zhuofan looked behind him, at his men, and they laughed too. Luo clan had been going about just as the emperor wanted, powerless to resist. Then Zhuofan spent mere days in building 100,000 strong army of war puppets against Tuoba Tieshan's millions. while letting loose impermanence 5 on the beast-taming sect's elders. Just these two aces alone had flipped the tables. Neither of them was a scenario the Emperor could predict, no matter how much he brainstormed. Or that Zhuo Fan was with the demon scheming sect. That last one would have helped the Emperor come to a totally different plan. In fact, it would have made him throw his plan out the window for that matter, but through ignorance he planned it all, directed it all, and then lost it all. Zhuo Fan's men knew everything, of course, and laughed it out like winners. Lacking the details, but knowing the ending, told the Emperor that Zhuo Fan had done something monumental to turn it around, and these were all steps Zhuo Fan took after knowing the board and its players. The Emperor sighed. You had it all figured out right from the start, even my deal with Chuanrong, and made plans. Few people were in on it, and they were my most trusted aides. How did you know? Zhuo Fan put on a sadistic smile, pointing at Yun Shuang. Just like your majesty, when in doubt ask the high priest. Miss Shuang'er is the help Yun Xuanji personally offered me. And with a little help from my fatebreaker self, I got to exploit everything, ha ha ha. Yun Shuang blushed, her mind going to a certain event. Chapter 502, Glorified. Chapter 502, Glorified. Parish's eyes can only see fate's direction, not the details. I am fully aware of their shortcomings, and there's no way the stars would have revealed about me and Chuanrong having a deal. The Emperor eyed Yun Shuang but shook his head. Zhuo Fan nodded. Right, Shuang'er couldn't tell the facts, only whose fate went up, went down, went bust or struck gold, which was more than enough. Zhuo Fan grinned. The moment the Chuanrong delegation entered the imperial capital, they were at the top of their game, since they came for their share. Regent Estate and Zhuge Changfeng's readings showed growth as well, which was reasonable as well. It may be from being in cahoots with Chuanrong or Chuanrong's movements serving their purpose. And then there was the Luo clan's prediction, looking mighty flat, if I may say. Quite fair, since Chuanrong didn't come for us, but to give this cesspool a good whirl. And with Luo clan's shaky foundation, it affected us quite a bit. Although, Zhuo Fan turned his creepy smile over to the Emperor. How come your majesty's fate spiked the moment Chuanrong were here, higher than the other four even? This made no sense. Chuanrong and Tianyu are enemies, how can the first's arrival boost your majesty's fate? I'd never considered your shady deal, your majesty, since it was downright taboo. The slighted slip-up will have everyone in on it and your power will be revoked. I had Shuang'er watch the fates many times over to confirm it. By eliminating all rational possibilities, you arrive at the answer, no matter how improbable it is. Your Majesty, you just turned your back on everyone, making shady deals with Chuanrong. That's when all my planning started and I had the elders dig a bunker to prepare to fight off Chuanrong's attack. Zhuo Fan trailed off. The Emperor sighed, you're very smart. With Holy Maiden's help, this is the result. No need to patronize me, your Majesty is the true genius here, even though dogmatic, driving everyone away. Yun Xuanji, Dugu Zhantian, Zhuge Changfeng, the list goes on. Zhuo Fan chuckled. Yun Shuang froze. Why you mean grandfather? Shuang'er, I know old Yun's death has been torturing you. I said I'll get you revenge, but back then wasn't the right timing. Now I present you with the murderer, for you to take revenge yourself. Zhuo Fan continued, isn't that right, your Majesty? You had Yun Xuanji killed. What? Yun Shuang watched the listless man with red eyes. You. The Emperor nodded. High Priest was a valued minister for our nation, and me. I had confided in him many times, giving him too much information. He found out about my plan and worked against it. Even relying on Zhuo Fan, a betrayal that couldn't go unanswered. Yun clan works for the betterment of this world. At the founding of our empire, the ancestors must have thought of the people as well. But your Majesty acted for his own selfish reasons, even bringing enemies into our lands, letting Chuanrong trample Tianyu's people. Sir Yun Xuanji would not stand for it. His only choice was to appeal to me in changing this future. Zhuo Fan sighed, with fate and luck, I fought back the tough Chuanrong army. The Emperor let out a self-deprecating smile. His strongest ace had been thwarted. It went to show that heavens continued to look after its people. Yun Shuang's eyes burned, her fist tight, her anger spiking. Dugu Feng bowed. Miss Shuang'er, you are not the only ones with a grievance against the Emperor. I myself have some questions. Once it all comes to light, Miss Schwanger is free to end it. Yun Shuang nodded, bottling that raging torrent. Dugu Feng began, Your Majesty, how did the Chuanrong's millions of soldiers just crossed over practically overnight and ambushed us? There's no way you could have hidden this from the Dugu army. Ha ha ha, even old Zhuge Changfeng could only sneak in 100,000 at most. There was no way for me to do it, not without catching two pillars' attention. The emperor turned, Zhuo Fan, you're smart. Can you answer it? Zhuo Fan squinted, but laughed, national elemental stones. The emperor's eyes bugged out. Dugu Feng was stunned. The national elemental stones used in the esoteric debate? The very same. National elemental stones are the best in moving troops and are under everyone's sight. Your Majesty used the esoteric debate as a cover to get them out of the imperial palace. And while in Beast King Mountain, I met a certain Chuanrong lass. They had to have been there to get the keys. And when esoteric debate ended, everyone would focus on the 7 noble houses while they slipped in, laying in wait. Zhuo Fan's explanation was like he was there. He turned towards the ever-silent Fang Qiubai. Sir Fang, you were in charge of these matters and should have been aware, right? Fang Qiubai nodded, correct. Ha ha ha, I had underestimated you, Zhuo Fan. I see now why I lost it all. You knew everything. The emperor laughed with tears, yet you were never worried as you tangled with the regent estate that I would set my sights on Windgaze City. Not one bit. Your Majesty had planned on using outsiders when the civil war was over, not a day sooner. Zhuo Fan was cocky. Chuanrong was Your Majesty's biggest ace and their delegation's location was the first place to strike. While you always egged Regent Estate and Luo clan's war on, sending Dugu army, Divine Dragons, and Shadow King over to take our heads, it was all a cover. Your one true aim was to remove Dugu Zhantian and Zhuge Changfeng, your greatest ministers. Once the court was nice and clean, you'd start the campaign on the weakened Luo clan, easy pickings for the mighty Chuanrong army. The emperor stared at him. Then why didn't I move Dugu Zhantian to kill you all and settle this once and for all? Your Majesty knew Marshal Dugu best. He was loyal to a fault. He would have never agreed with your deal with Chuanrong. You feared his revolt, so after Zhuge Changfeng was out of the picture, before the news got out, you eliminated the Dugu army. You figured, by that time, the Luo clan was but a handful of experts and overlooked us thinking we'd be no trouble at all. Zhuo Fan sighed, yet it was us who came out on top in the end, with none the wiser. The emperor had a dull look, taking time to come up with a reply. Steward Zhuo is godlike. My defeat is justified. Giving the throne to Steward Zhuo will be for a brighter future. Everyone was shocked, Fatty and Crown Prince included. With Zhuo Fan's shrewd nature and strong arm, no one in Tianyu could contend with his hegemony. The two's hearts were in their throat, waiting for the answer. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Your Majesty, this might be late to say, but I borrowed Demon Scheming Sect's men and owe them a big favor. I need to report to them in a few days. I can't be the emperor, not when I'll be returning God knows when. Demon Scheming Sect knows about this. That's great, ha ha ha, the emperor perked up. Tsonga, be very careful to not reach for more than you can grab when you are on the throne. You need to show gratitude whenever you're called Your Majesty. Zhuo Fan praised, Your Majesty sure is shrewd. Fine, since I and Fatty had a deal, he can walk up there. Hold it. The Crown Prince was flustered, offering his full service to the great Zhuo Fan. Steward Zhuo, since Sir can't take the throne and has no intention of letting others take it, why not support me? I vow to do all your bidding. You will be the retired emperor. Zhuo Fan was the supreme winner here, with the title of emperor being at his discretion. And from Luo clan's stance, Crown Prince figured that no one else wanted the job, so he rushed to grab that big thick leg. Glancing over, Zhuo Fan mocked, You think it's that great fighting over a glorified empty chair? Sure is, totally. Get me on it and I'll do anything. Crown Prince bobbed his head. All he got were looks of contempt. Chapter 503, Assimilation. Chapter 503, Assimilation. Cough tilde. With a violent coughing, Emperor spat dark blood. His voice was faint. Zhuo Fan, you're a smart man and know that even when choosing a puppet, it has to have some value. Crown Prince is narrow-minded. It's only a matter of time before he slips and throws everything into chaos. Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan pondered. Crown Prince looked at the emperor like he wanted to choke the dying old man. For God's sake, am I your son or what? I get that you won't give me the throne, but can you at least stay out of this when it's not your call who the next emperor is? Stop kicking. Just what did I ever do to you that you won't even let me be a puppet? Crown Prince blamed his fate to the point of crying. The emperor grinned. Crown Prince, it's not that I hate you. It's just that you'll fail at the job. At best you'd have been a muddled emperor. But now, with the situation calling for a puppet, one needs extreme caution. The slightest impulse might very well be the end of Yuan clan. What end? Is that how useless you think I am, old man? Crown Prince had had enough of his mockery and went to the dying emperor to shake him in tears. Why doesn't Imperial Father ever believe that I can be a good emperor? The emperor's only reaction was to smile as his spoiled son spit like a dummy. Even as his life ebbed away, his smile never lost its brilliance. Imperial Father, Fatty shouted with a trembling lip. Crown Prince watched the familiar face, feeling a sudden sense of loss. He was ready for the emperor's death when he poisoned his father, yet experiencing it proved to be painful nonetheless. Zhuo Fan watched it all with a cold eye. Fatty, you should handle your family's matters. In 2 days, you'll sit on the throne. The others gave the passing emperor one last look before following Zhuo Fan out. Crown Prince slumped to the ground, a mess of disappointment inside. Why was the Imperial Father like that? Zhuo Fan was the same. Why did they choose you? Wiping the tears, Fatty's gaze hardened. Master, for Crown Prince's heinous crimes against our nation, patricide and regicide, seize him. Understood. Fang Qiubai pointed and sword energy entered Crown Prince, knocking him out. Fatty still held onto his father's body, his eyes swimming in tears. As Zhuo Fan exited the palace, Li Jingtian asked, Steward Zhuo, was the emperor certain, even on his deathbed, that would be helping the Yuan clan ascend the throne, even as a puppet? Of course. This empire has 3 sects behind it. Zhuo Fan huffed, and to keep them at its back, the empire has to keep handing over resources. Kicking Yuan clan off the throne for someone else will bring about unrest, be it willing or not, affecting the tribute to the sects. To keep Tianyu at peace, they must have the Yuan clan on display, but what the emperor did was against the 3 sects' bottom line. From the Chuanrong's confessions, the emperor would cede 1/10 of the lands, the one with the most spirit minds. It's the same as cutting at the empire's 3 guardian sects' interests. The 3 sects have lost all trust in the Yuan clan. They will find another party to be the true emperor while it remains a pawn. That's where we come in. Li Jingtian smiled. Does that mean the Luo clan will be the true emperor of Tianyu and will control the lands? Of course. I turned the war to fight back the invaders into quite the buzz, adding to our fame. There's no one else like us in Tianyu. Becoming rulers is justified. The key is to take control of everything the imperial family had, spirit mines, military, commerce and so on. With all of that in our grasp, we won't even need figureheads in court. Zhuo Fan instructed the Luo clan bobbed their heads in glee. Hehe, from this day on, the empire is ours. There's also the task of reorganizing the Dugu army as our private army. It will be led by the 4 tigers of Tianyu, their generals. Zhuo Fan turned to the grieving tigers and Yun Shuang. What's wrong with you? Yun Shuang sighed. When Godfather died, I vowed to take revenge. Now that all the enemies are gone, I have lost all the drive to hate and feel morose. The emperor is a sad man, giving his life for the imperial family, only for all his efforts to be in vain. Yeah, Dugu army vowed loyalty to his majesty as well. Who'd have thought we'd be betrayed yet fought in his name? Ha ha ha, a cruel irony. Dugu army sighed. The other tigers echoed his sentiment. Zhuo Fan said, nitpicking bunch. Enemies are enemies and friends are friends. If your enemy lives on, are you content to watch your friends die? Nothing but a load of brainless fools. Zhuo Fan flicked his hand and left. You go on. I have things to do. And was gone. Yun Shuang and the tigers cocked their heads. True. Anyone would sympathize with the emperor's cruel fate, but he was still an enemy. Recalling how he had their godfather killed had them gnash their teeth in hatred. The 5 saw Zhuo Fan with more esteem. Zhuo Fan is a wise man, his gaze always seeing the truth. Letting enemies roam free will get our friends killed. It will bring us more pain. Zhuo Fan turned to a dark building, where a man was waiting for him inside with a bow. Steward Zhuo, allow me to congratulate you on your complete victory, in grasping this nation and becoming its true ruler. The youth in grey robes paid his respects. Zhuo Fan smiled. I'll have to congratulate brother Yu Ming as well for figuring it out and choosing my very glorious bridge, for your far sight. Your future is limitless, ha ha ha. Oh, you're too kind. I have Steward Zhuo to thank for his kind reminder and for lighting up the murky darkness. You were right, I can't become a great mind cooped up in one place. I needed to elevate my condition to observe the powers that move across the board. Yu Ming's eyes lit up. Revenge for my master blinded me, while master had the house tying him down. Now, without such weights dragging me down, I can roam the lands free, uncaring for favors and enmities, for gains and losses. My gaze can now see the horizon. Zhuo Fan nodded. You have grown to the ranks of Lung Wuchang and Zhuge Changfeng. I can now form new checks and balances inside the Luo clan. Does Steward Zhuo want me, Zhuge Changfeng and Lung Wuchang to stand together? Yu Ming perked up. He knew Lung Wuchang was on Zhuo Fan's side and now he had come here for Zhuge Changfeng. This young mastermind had endless respect for his seniors. What he never expected was Zhuo Fan giving him such a lofty position inside the Luo clan, of the same rank as the other two. As for the future of Luo clan, he had no doubt whatsoever against Zhuo Fan's shifty mind. Imperial family and the 7 houses fell like a tower of cards, with Luo clan climbing over their bodies to its rightful place as the supreme lord of Tianyu. That will be the best stage for my skill. Yu Ming's heart jumped in joy. Take this first. Yu Ming took the bloodworm. Zhuo Fan nodded. Where is he? If you'd kindly follow me, Steward Zhuo. Yu Ming led the way on the 2nd floor. Zhuo Fan met an aged man laying in bed, Zhuge Changfeng, but with how stiff he looked, it gave the impression of him being dead. Zhuo Fan quirked an eyebrow and Yu Ming fed the old man a pill. With a light cough, Zhuge Changfeng woke up. Where am I? Prime Minister Zhuge, how has life treated you lately? Zhuo Fan smiled. Zhuge Changfeng frowned at Zhuo Fan and then noticed Yu Ming. He moved his gaze from one to another, but the fog hadn't been uplifted. You too. What is this? Shouldn't I be dead? Chapter 504, Steward. Chapter 504, Steward. Dead. Zhuo Fan eyed Yu Ming. What is Prime Minister Zhuge talking about? Yu Ming explained. Steward Zhuo, the emperor sensed his time was coming and feared a world with Prime Minister Zhuge in it would stir the lands. He had me put Prime Minister Zhuge down. But since I had answered Steward Zhuo's call of wanting Prime Minister Zhuge, I had Prime Minister Zhuge fake death with a pill. Now, safe and sound, I gave the antidote. Zhuo Fan nodded. Zhuge Changfeng said, I see, Sir Yu Ming is with Steward Zhuo. What has happened? With His Majesty's cunning mind, there's no way he'd leave Yu Ming alive. The two laughed. He hasn't been on my side since last evening. His Majesty had no way of figuring out our connection either. All we had among us was a transaction. Zhuo Fan grinned. Yu Ming nodded. Before His Majesty's Jubilee, I and Steward Zhuo met, to my great benefit. In those times of anarchy, with everyone going for the throne, Steward Zhuo made me a promise. I had to do just 2 little things for him and he'd have me on board. No matter how much my future actions affected the Luo clan's interest afterwards, once he seized the world, I could use this promise to join the Luo clan, becoming the victor in this civil war. Zhuge Changfeng gave a thumbs up. Steward Zhuo, why didn't I think of that? Not only binding the opponent but enticing him as well. It will make roping others easier. And this method wasn't successful on just him, right? Just one other. Zhuo Fan shirked off the praise. I made promises with potential candidates. One is Yu Ming, the other being Lung Wuchang. What about me? Do I have no potential? Zhuge Changfeng's eyebrow shook. Zhuo Fan laughed. Prime Minister Sir has that aplenty, but in those times you were just another contender. Was I supposed to draw in a rival? That's like asking for it. Ha ha ha, quite true. Prime Minister Zhuge nodded. Yu Ming continued. Steward Zhuo had me urge the second prince into a quarrel at the Jubilee, making up an excuse to leave the imperial capital to set everything up, while also instigating the war with everyone in passing. The other matter was egging on the second prince's rebellion while he was fighting Regent Estate. Though there were many people asking me about this at the time, Regent Estate and Steward Zhuo both wanted to use an attack on the court as a way to delay Dugu army, while the emperor used it to draw the prime minister out and take you down in one fell swoop by dumping the nation betrayer on your list of crimes. Oh, the rebellion had been this old man's greatest mistake. Let's not mention it. Zhuge Changfeng sighed Zhuo Fan and Yu Ming smiled. Yu Ming added, after these tasks, Steward Zhuo presented me with an optional task, saving the prime minister from death. I didn't want to at first, afraid that the emperor would find out, but Steward Zhuo is just too mean, setting his sights on Hell Valley as the first house to wipe out. That's like cutting my way out. Soon came the end of Regent Estate and I was only left with the imperial family and Luo clan. Of course, I had to listen to both of them. Yu Ming eyed Zhuo Fan with a bit of annoyance, yet the man had the same ineffable smile of a winner. Zhuge Changfeng asked in doubt, Steward Zhuo, why do you show me such care? Ha ha ha, I respect Prime Minister's ability and wish to invite you to Luo clan. Zhuo Fan cupped his hands. Zhuge Changfeng paused. What would Luo clan do with me when it has the invincible Steward Zhuo? I will only become a burden to Steward Zhuo. Prime Minister sir, I was able to see today only through some shady methods. But when it comes to governing Tianyu, Prime Minister takes the crown. Zhuo Fan turned forlorn. To deal with Chuanrong and imperial family combined, I had to tough it out and make a request to the demon scheming sect, thus owing them. To return the favor, I have to report to the sect, unbeknownst when I'll be back. I need Prime Minister Sir's wisdom to lead Luo clan, control the grand scheme of things and steer it clear from disaster. The demon scheming sect. That means you've beaten Chuanrong and His Majesty all while keeping the Empire's 3 guardian sects from catching wind of this matter? Zhuge Changfeng shook. That will spell the end of Tianyu's imperial family as we know it, becoming a puppet, with the Luo clan as the ruler supreme. Ha ha ha, Prime Minister Sir has the same vision as me. Coming to Luo clan, so we'll have the stage set to display your skills. I will not disgrace the greatest mind of Tianyu. Zhuo Fan smiled. Zhuge Changfeng paced around the room. That will make Luo clan's steward position no different than Tianyu's prime minister. And with you leaving, to whom will that fall to? Zhuo Fan beamed. Prime Minister Zhuge has held Tianyu in balance for a century and knows the ins and outs. Since this position and Luo clan's steward are the same, after I leave, it will belong to Prime Minister Zhuge, ha ha ha. It struck a chord in old Zhuge Changfeng's heart. He'd been a prime minister for as long as he knew, yet had no hard feelings leaving that life behind. Calming down, he realized he could do nothing else. But resuming his old trade, he wasn't exactly used to working under someone. This made the Luo clan's steward position the best choice. Zhuge Changfeng showed a bashful smile. The moment you leave, I'll steal your position. That wouldn't be very nice. It's all fine. The steward is in charge of all clan affairs. And with an ever-growing Luo clan, those affairs will only expand. This position shall never be empty. Someone will always be there to take it. If Prime Minister Zhuge finds joining the Luo clan a poor choice, no problem, I'll just have Lung Wuchang take it. He doesn't like his current spot, as a military advisor. Zhuo Fan grinned. Zhuge Changfeng waved around. Oh no, that will not do at all. Lung Wuchang has been a regent estate steward all his life, seldom minding matters. With Luo clan growing into its role as an emperor in the shadows, Lung Wuchang's light experience wouldn't help in dealing with Tianyu's complicated matters. I come from an even smaller clan, yet you don't feel the same about me? Zhuo Fan darkened. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. Steward Zhuo, please don't tease. You are of unseen talent, capable of anything and everything, of immense majesty and open-mindedness. What small-time steward can do that? I don't know Steward Zhuo's past, but I am confident you are a worldly talent. Prime Minister Zhuge, you sure know how to flatter. It's fine though. All I want to know is, are you in or out? In. Zhuge Changfeng nodded. Zhuo Fan relaxed and presented a bloodworm. Per clan rules, any new addition needs to eat this. What is it? Zhuge Changfeng asked while swallowing. Zhuo Fan would have long killed him if he wanted to. Why go through all that trouble? The wiser one was, the quicker Zhuo Fan laid out his conditions with a nasty grin. Zhuo Fan's hand shifted into a sign and Zhuge Changfeng started sweating buckets from the bellyache easing up on the sign. Zhuge Changfeng felt terror like no other despite how short-lived the pain was. Ha ha ha, this. Zhuo Fan snickered. Zhuge Changfeng grumbled and whined. Steward Zhuo, was that necessary? I'm just a scholar. I'm no expert and don't need these methods to control me. Ha ha ha, scholar? Prime Minister Sir is too modest. You're a devious and unscrupulous mastermind. I won't rest easy unless I have you on a leash. Zhuo Fan sighed. Luo siblings are neither shrewd nor tough, mere sheeps. Bringing so many beasts around their pen is all to protect them. Yet by the time I return, won't I have the pen empty from the beasts eating them all up? Giving you all a leash is within reason. Ha ha ha. Zhuge Changfeng and Yu Ming shook their heads, finding no retort against this demon's logic, cause this demon Archon is too damn right. Chapter 505, Luo Alliance. Chapter 505, Luo Alliance. Next morning, Zhuo Fan took Yu Ming and Zhuge Changfeng to Prosperity Compound. With the emperor defeated, taking back its mansion in the imperial capital was easy for Luo clan. The streets they passed were filled with white clothes and all the stores were closed. It was a nationwide mourning for the emperor. Stepping through the gates of the compound, the guards shouted his arrival and everyone came to meet Zhuo Fan. It came as a shock to see the great prime minister behind him. Leng Wuchang took it the hardest, not liking where this was going. Allow me to clarify. Prime Minister Zhuge is now on our side. Zhuo Fan smiled. This is Yu Ming, the advisor of Hell Valley, also with us. Steward Zhuo is back with more talents, and with none other than the head of the Four Pillars too. His recruiting style is invincible. They all greeted the newcomers with cupped hands. Leng Wuchang opted for a snort. Zhuo Fan was about to leave, and Luo clan, as a great power, needed a wise advisor in the years to come. But Zhuo Fan's mind is so twisted that he got Zhuge Changfeng to join as well. It's to keep me in check. There goes my promotion. Leng Wuchang lamented. With the pleasantries over and done with, he had all others leave. Sir Leng, walk with us. He took the three tacticians to his room. Taking a chair, he eyed them. We're all smart people here and know by now my intentions. Yes, you three will establish checks and balances in the Luo clan. Kudos, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan put on a bright smile, but Leng Wuchang sighed his discontent. Steward Zhuo, you had ruled the Luo clan all alone for so many years, and since I learnt of your departure, I figured my time to shine has come at last, to show my skills. But you planned for two others to hold me back. Ha ha ha, balancing power is a leader's quality, especially now when the officials are stronger than the Lord. Without Steward Zhuo holding the others in check with the worms, the Luo siblings would have long since fallen prey. Steward Zhuo's actions are all within right. Zhuge Changfeng understood as much from their talk last night. Yu Ming nodded. These three were all masterminds. The only reason Zhuo Fan could control them was through a nifty little trick, or he'd never let them see tomorrow. To say nothing about leaving them around the naive siblings, to grasp power, to establish an unshakable foothold. Ha ha ha, any of these three can do it in days. But only with all of them will things keep growing. Leng Wuchang could see it, but the disillusion was too much to bear. Zhuo Fan smiled. You are all capable men. I may hold you back for safety reasons, but I will not stand in the way of your talents, instead help you unleash it to its full potential. By then you will be so busy that you won't have the time to play tricks on each other. Zhuo Fan's hand held 3 jade slips. Here is the next phase of my plan. Each of your duties are included as well. Sir Leng noticed something, but this is the final policy. The 3 read it and all cried, Luo Alliance. Luo Alliance. Zhuo Fan nodded, his eyes flashing as he revealed his master plan. The 7 noble houses vied for power, for these lands. But even if they did grasp it, they'd be limited to Tianyu alone. We are now Tianyu's shadow, free of the emperor's shackles, and can go beyond the boundaries of this nation to take in renowned clans. Grow and grow without limits to become a colossus that the likes of the upper sects have never seen. The trio were dumbstruck. Zhuge Changfeng pointed out, Steward Zhuo, this is huge. By breaking down the nation's barriers, taking in outside clans, we'll become an organization outside of this nation's boundaries. We will have countless men and resources. We might even contend over the control of the Western lands, becoming its supreme power in the shadows. And only we can do it since we are this empire's shadow, out of its control. By luring the other area's clans, it won't come back to bite us and the other empires won't even notice. We'll grow so big no nation could hold us. Zhuo Fan snickered. Will the three controllers have the mind for petty schemes when in control of such a behemoth? The trio looked at him filled with praise. Zhuge Changfeng cupped his hands. Steward Zhuo is amazing, just through his ambition alone. I see it now, why you told me that your sights are on a bigger prize. It's all become clear now. My skill is indispensable in accomplishing such a great undertaking and I would accept it without hesitation. Ha ha ha, Leng Wuchang was pleased. Zhuo Fan continued, the Luo Alliance project is only known to the four of us for now. It will do more harm than good letting the houses, bent on rebuilding their legacy, in on it. I never want to see the same chaos like the time of the 7 houses again. You three are all men of wisdom. Your first task will be to turn these houses into abandoning their plans of rebuilding and become our first supporters of the Luo Alliance. The trio had the same patronizing smile. Reverse psychology can't be simpler. Zhuo Fan nodded with a wide smile. With these three at the heart of things, Luo clan's future is assured. I'll be going now. You can handle each other's scope. Zhuo Fan left. Leng Wuchang asked, Steward Zhuo, your mind is a true mystery. How did you come up with this project? I saw it happen. Zhuo Fan grinned. The trio were mystified. Saw it? Which clan on this continent did it? How come we've never heard of it? No one knew that the great sacred domain had the Shun clan at its core, with all other clans in its alliance, a mountain driving fear even into sects. Zhuo Fan entered another room, where 2 sages awaited. Though with their sealed cultivations, they couldn't move and could only sit there with ashen faces. It's been ages, friends. How has life been treating you? Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan made a sign and the 2 could move. It's just that I've been a little busy and couldn't attend to you. Do pardon my lack of manners. Stop with the theatrics. As the true winner, what are you going to do, torture us? Bring it. Heaven's Sage spoke with resolve. Zhuo Fan sneered, you've got me all wrong. Have you ever seen a torture like this, letting you live at ease for 2 months? What do you call those 3 days of ghastly pain right when you caught us? It felt more like 3 years in hell. Earth Sage spat. Zhuo Fan sighed, oh, come on, I was doing you a favor. With torture as an excuse, I kept your lives from ending up splattered under young Sans's hoofs. Once I got him to leave, the pain stopped and I even had you dine in style. Did you forget so soon? The 2 exchanged a glance. We did, didn't we? Ever since Jiyu Santong's job was over, he left Luo clan and their torture ended. What do you want? Spit it out. Zhuo Fan wasn't one who believed in charity, so Heaven's Sage shouted. Zhuo Fan smiled, I hope that you'll join me. What? The 2 mocked, no way. And why not? Zhuo Fan asked, the imperial family is finished, the emperor is dead and the fatty is just about to sit on the throne as my future puppet. What's so great about following him? Don't tell me you are undying loyalists too. Heaven's Sage mocked, we're not Dugu Zhantian or human sage. We are simply on the imperial family's payroll, so we deal with their matters. But if there's one side we'll never join, it's the Luo clan. All because you're with that little freak. What did my son do to you, for you to hate him so much? Zhuo Fan frowned. Ethereal Sage snorted, that freak broke our body's core 300 years ago, cutting any prospects of ever reaching ethereal stage. You tell me if hatred isn't warranted. Zhuo Fan presented a vial, that's it. See here, this is Luo clan's heaven-reaching pill, 10th grade. It mends meridians and knits bones. The broken elder Li took one of these and was up and running within seconds. He even became ethereal. You only need to let go of the hatred with my son and join the Luo clan to have it. The 2 were shell-shocked. Luo clan has such a panacea. Though fear of being fooled again had the sages hesitant, there's no way Steward Zhuo will take thanks as payback for this little favor. We'll be your errand boys. We can overlook the matter with your son, but if you play with us, are you dumb or what? Your lives are in my hands. What good will it do to lie? And from how long you've stayed at peak radiant stage, the instant you heal you'll advance. You will know it once you take the pill. The sages stared at the vial and gulped. The desire was too much for them to ignore and they swallowed it instantly. A gentle energy entered their very fiber. getting a moan out of them. Chapter 506, The Sect Leaders. Chapter 506, The Sect Leaders. A 10-meter pavilion rested on a tall peak, with a cloud dancing around it. A youth in soft black clothes sat at the table, partaking in tea. Though his twisted smile ruined his good image, turning it sinister like a viper about to strike whoosh, a light trailed the skies and landed right before the youth. It revealed an old man in white with golden edges holding a horsetail whisk, the very picture of an immortal. The youth laughed and waved. Mystical Heaven Sect Xian Jianfeng, have you been well these years? Xie Wuyue, we hardly interact and there's nothing cordial between us. Why the sudden invitation then? What are you up to? Xian Jianfeng snorted and took a seat, putting on a vague smile. Xie Wuyue shook his head, to discuss important business of course. Though it's too soon to tell. There's still one person left. Whoosh. Another light appeared and the immense power swept the peak. Even the two of them jerked for a moment there. Xian Jianfeng cried, Sect Leader Ren, what are you doing here? It was a middle-aged man with sharp features, his expression biting and resolute. Sparse hair grew on his chin, giving him a wild look. Sect Leader Ren, greetings. This time Xie Wuye's evil smile turned respectful, bowing at the man. Xian Jianfeng did the same, grinning. The man flicked and spoke with valor, please, sect leaders, I've only come here to talk business. Don't stand in ceremony for my sake, ha ha ha. The two had known Sect Leader Ren for a long time and sat right away. Sect Leader Ren took a seat as well, looking at Xie Wuyue with a cold glint. Sect Leader Xie, is what you said true? Yuan clan has the gall to play dirty tricks behind our backs. I never make light of such grave matters, Sect Leader Ren. Xie Wuyue nodded. Xian Jianfeng was stumped. Sect Leader Ren, what is going on? You don't know, Sect Leader Xian? Sect Leader Ren eyed Xie Wuyue and asked, Sect Leader Xie didn't explain it in the Sending Jade? Yuan clan sold 1/10 of Qianyu to Chuanrong. What? Xian Jianfeng shuddered, turning shocked to Xie Wuyue, is this true? Are they that outrageous? And why didn't you tell me sooner? I told you now, didn't I? Xie Wuyue snorted. Xian Jianfeng glared at him, the punk is messing with me. Calling for a meeting without stating why. These two sects weren't exactly friends and now Xie Wuyue was playing deaf, letting him get duped. Sect Leader Ren was the head of the Empire's 3 guardian sects, Heaven Trailing Sect Leader. By showing indifference in such a grave matter, it would only strain the relations between me and Sect Leader Ren. And this was where Xie Wuyue succeeded. He had forced Mystical Heaven Sect to come without explaining anything to Xian Jianfeng. You didn't say a word, it would be this big. The two sects had a competitive relationship, so why would anyone come just because the other said so? But from the looks of it, the matter isn't that grave. Xian Jianfeng wiped his brow and glared at Xie Wuyue. The youth found it more interesting to enjoy the scenery with a cold smile. Sect Leader Ren knew everything but laughed instead. Alright, it's just Sect Leader Xie forgetting to mention. Sect Leader Xian needn't mind it. What is important is understanding the situation and its causes before settling it. Sect Leader Ren smiled. Sect Leader Xie, since you found out, you must have done something before calling this meeting. Sect Leader Ren is wise beyond his years. I indeed acted the instant I became aware of it. Now everything is settled. Though it will require all 3 of us if we want to take it out on Chuanrong and Beast Taming Sect. Xie Wuyue explained the entire chain of events. Xie Wuyue placed a gourd on the table. Here are the 3 Beast Taming Sect's elders' souls. We can use them to strike a blow at the Beast Taming Sect, but we'll need Sect Leader Ren to consider what might we get out of it. Humph, what else is there? Chuanrong live in the mountains and forests with rich lands, plenty of mines, and are filled with herbs. I've been waiting for ages to get my hands on it. Sect Leader Ren snickered. Didn't they want 1/10 of Qianyu? This time we'll have them bleed instead. Xie Wuyue nodded, rightfully so. I am in full accord with Sect Leader Ren's idea. We'll send a team of experts to Beast Taming Sect for compensation. Understood. Sect Leader Ren laughed. It's only a matter of time before our shares increase, ha ha ha. The others laughed as well. Xian Jianfeng and Xie Wuyue weren't always on the same page but were content when both sides had a bite. Though Xian Jianfeng frowned, The foreign matter is resolved, but that still leaves the internal one. Due to its outrageous attempt, Yuan clan is unfit to lead Tianyu. We need someone else, someone to guarantee our interests. No need to worry, sect leader Xian, isn't the choice clear as day? Xie Wuyue grinned. Xian Jianfeng jerked. You mean, the Luo clan? No. Everyone knows you've got their steward Zhuo Fan to join you. Making them our choice will elevate your prowess. Xian Jianfeng, why be so petty? The Luo clan and demon scheming sect do have some ties, but it's nothing to fuss over. I'm not one to affect the sect's interests and earn heaven trailing sect's ire over some crumbs. Do you take me for some narrow-minded and ignorant fool? Xie Wuyue bowed. The usual distribution was heaven trailing sect getting a third, each other sect a fifth, and the remaining was left to Tianyu. But with Luo clan being Tianyu's representative, an extra tenth will be divided among us, leaving it with only a fifth. Sect leader Ren lit up and nodded. This is everyone's share. No matter who controls its distribution, it will be a gain for all. All that matters is paying the tribute on time and not skimming the top. Exactly so. Xie Wuyue chuckled and gave Xian Jianfeng a taunting look. Xian Jianfeng saw sect leader Ren's smile and the eerie chill behind it. He nodded too. But sect leader Ren, we now have a new representative, so what do we do with the old one? Yuan clan has ruled Tianyu for a millennium, its roots are deep. Moving against them will throw the lands in chaos and affect our shares. When Tianyu was founded, it needed 100 years to attain peace, a time during which the 7 houses were at war and the people were struggling to survive. How could the empire's resources be extracted in such desperate times? We were left with meager profits then. No, Tianyu must not fall into anarchy. Sect leader Ren said. Sect leader Xie, is your representative confident in controlling the Yuan clan and grasping the entire imperial family's power? Ha ha ha, sect leader Ren, he's doing it as we speak. And besides, doesn't he have demon scheming sect in case of hiccups? Sect leader Ren nodded. Sect leader Xie, so young and promising. I'll leave it to you. Goodbye. Sect leader Ren vanished. Xie Wuyue bowed. Xian Jianfeng stared at him. Xie Wuyue, you sure looked big in front. Sect leader Ren. But I am warning you, you better not have your representative controlling Tianyu be up to something. If anything happens to mystical heaven sect's share. Yes. Xie Wuyue raised an eyebrow. It's not my fault Tianyu's representative is in my court. When I took the kid in, all you knew was how to mock. Now look at what he has turned into. While that lass of yours hasn't done anything, ha ha ha. Xian Jianfeng clenched his fists but opted to snort and left Xian Jianfeng with, don't get too cocky. That kid is more than you can handle. You will be sorry. Humph, useless talents are of no danger. I like the kids with some bite. But no matter how dangerous, he still won't escape my grasp. Xie Wuyue snorted and clawed the air with a vicious look. Chapter 507, One True Clan. Chapter 507, One True Clan. We bow at the Emperor's coronation. It was early morning and the imperial palace echoed with an announcement. Fatty in his golden dragon robes climbed onto the highest chair in the lands, with the officials bowing behind him. Ever since Chuanrong army showed up, the imperial capital had been sealed and the imperial palace was silent. The officials had long since missed court, waiting in fear for the dire news that the empire was finished. This all became possible at the hands of Zhuge Changfeng, colluding with the Chuanrong and imprisoning the imperial family. The situation was so that besides Zhuge Changfeng and his traitorous officials entering the imperial palace, the entire imperial capital was in the dark to the truth. And those traitorous officials had already been dealt with. After months of silence, the first court attendance became possible after Zhuo Fan strutted in like a winner just as the emperor died of poisoning. The reason was quite justified. Zhuo Fan hailed the banner to save his lord. This brave, loyal and daring official forewent the danger of death and marched in and saved the imperial family. Alas, no amount of bravery could save the emperor and crown prince from an unfortunate fate as Chuanrong's victims. Once the late emperor's funeral came to a close, Fatty prepared for his ascension. Among the entire imperial family, he was the only candidate resting on the large dragon chair. Fatty's beady eyes glinted as he took on a royal air. Grandmother, Long Yifei and Xie Xiaofeng were among the bowing officials, shouting, "May your majesty live a long and prosperous life." At ease. Fatty spoke with dignity. My fortune of coming out alive is all due to the protector of our nation, the greatest steward in Tianyu, Zhuofan, who through cooperation with the Luo clan, drove off the barbarians in a valiant effort to save his lord. Today I present Zhuofan and Luo clan with the awards for their bravery. The herald shouted in a sharp voice. May Zhuofan and Luo clan step forth for their award. The high voice echoed everywhere and Zhuofan with Luo clan walked to the center. Fatty looked on heavily, his heart sinking. Zhuofan by himself is bad enough, but now. Fatty had accepted his role as a puppet emperor, but still held some hope. From what he heard from Yun Shuang and Yongning's chats, Zhuofan was going to leave soon. This news brought him great joy. With the most annoying pest out of the way, Luo clan will fall into chaos. No elder of theirs will simply bow to another. No one can keep them in line, except Zhuofan. He would then swoop in to mediate and might even wrest Qianyu's power for himself, but the current display had his hopes crushed and flushed down the gutter. Zhuofan walked in front of Luo clan. Among them were 3 people known to Qianyu as the greatest minds, Zhuge Changfeng, Leng Wuchang and Insidious Demon's pupil. Yu Ming didn't get that much attention, but Fatty was certain, the kid isn't a pushover. With these 3 weasels and goddamned elites, Luo clan had robbed the new emperor of any chance. Plus, looking further back one would see the peak of Qianyu's power. Li Jingtian, Qiu Yanghai and other Luo clan members and even the Yin-Yang elders judging from their auras, they were even stronger than before. Fatty muttered, "Brother, did you have to take everyone and leave me hanging? What am I supposed to do now that I've got no one to help me? Can it be that your majesty has other thoughts?" Zhuofan mocked. Fatty sighed, "Some, but now they are gone. Becoming emperor is enough. Cheer up and be happy with what you have, ha ha ha." Zhuofan spoke like a true winner. His attitude had no ounce of respect, with the whole court looking at him speechless. Some loyalists even jumped in, criticizing Zhuofan. "How dare you speak to His Majesty with such gross disrespect? You should be hanged. Not even the nation's defender has the right to be so crass with His Majesty. And who the hell are you to blame me?" Zhuofan mocked. "Fatty, what do you say I should do? Such insolence to call His Majesty. I am ashamed to say it. Off with your head. Shut your yap." The Fatty barked, holding his head helplessly. "Guards, take him away and execute him." The old man was dumbstruck. "Your Majesty, I am protecting your honor. Why am I the one sacked?" "Your Majesty, the laws of the court must be upheld. Don't encourage such arrogant display," the old official raved, showing his loyalty, as he was dragged away. The Fatty sighed, "Truly the worst allies one can have. Are you blind? Do you not see me here yet still toot your horn? Guys like you would one day have me killed. I can do perfectly well without diehard loyalists like you, thank you very much. All you know is to show off and act blindly. Listen up, Zhuofan and Luo clan's bravery is laudable, saving myself from certain death. They are the saviors of the world. I treat them with the same respect as heaven and earth. You all must learn restraint before Luo clan, understand?" The Fatty shouted. The audience was chilled on the spot, with many of them bug-eyed. The emperor's words carried a heavy weight. The savior had more esteem than one's own parents. Such respect couldn't be violated. The emperor said it to honor Zhuofan, to make him the retired emperor, but how? Smiley face. The literal meaning for retired emperor is beyond emperor. While it can also mean father of the emperor and puppet master, figuratively. A lord can revere the heaven and earth but nothing else. No matter how strong this guy is, he's still an official and can never be above the lord. Yet the emperor treated Zhuofan above his own kin, above heaven and earth. It left them all in shock at Zhuofan's gaze, all bowed their heads. Regardless of what the emperor says, there must be something else lurking beneath the surface. But it's not our place to speak. Wasn't one of us just dragged out moments ago? One peep and your whole clan will follow. Better zip it and play oblivious. The officials sighed. Zhuofan sneered. The whole court had come to know of his current position, that his power would go even higher than the emperor's. It was the first step in making the emperor a figurine. Zhuofan signaled Fatty to continue, though not without some hesitation. Luo clan's example of bravery for their lord and nation is a reflection of heaven and earth. They were first in the fight against barbarians, saving their lord and helping the people. I proclaim the Luo clan as the best house under heaven, holding key positions in Tianyu, managing the army, managing resources, to defend the nation and help me in guiding the people. Where they go, they carry my name. The fatty slumped in his throne, spent after that little speech. The court was boiling, military and resources, all under Luo clan's control. How is that Yuan dynasty then? And he even said they'll manage the people and lands together. That's like giving someone half your home. Luo clan might be the greatest in its merits, but no way equal to the emperor. That's digging your own grave. Some of the officials were lost. What the hell is wrong with the new emperor? He just sold his fatherland. Even a fool knows to keep his stuff, not give it away. Many were bowing and ready to admonish. Zhuge Changfeng's interjection was perfect though. In management, what matters most is reading the signs. His Majesty is more astute than any of you, so don't get carried away and butt in. The officials glared at him, but his hint worked like a charm. Zhuge Changfeng has been prime minister for ages, so why jump ship over to Luo clan's side? Looking at the emperor's defeated face, they all hesitated and fell back. Something reeks of a mystery here. Let's gloss over. But that'll make Luo clan the sole holder of Tianyu's power. A shift in dynasty will only be a matter of time. Not that it was any of their problems. If the Yuan clan didn't care, why should they? The officials calmed, their minds dumbing down. Zhuge Changfeng flicked a pleased look Shuofan's way. The more desolate they felt about the emperor, the more estranged they'd be, and the emperor would accomplish nothing. Shuofan turned to the fatty, shouting, "We'll be going now." As they left, there was no one blocking or berating Shuofan's uncouth manner. It was out in the open now, that the emperor couldn't mess with him. Hold on a minute. Fatty's eyes shone. We, brothers, haven't seen each other in ages. I ask that you stay and have a talk with me. Shuofan raised an eyebrow. What's he thinking? Chapter 508, Beauty over the Lands. Chapter 508, Beauty over the Lands. In the back gardens of the imperial palace, Fatty dismissed all his servants, except Fang Qiubai, as he walked with Shuofan down a secluded path through the woods. Fatty sighed. Brother, do you recall the time we swore brotherhood in Windgaze City? I was a prince and you were a servant of a ruined clan. But look at us now. A monarch of a nation and the true ruler of Tianyu. Doesn't time just whistle by? Get on with it. Shuofan groaned, making him awkward with an ahem. Fatty continued, what I mean is, you walk alone with me around the imperial palace, with no guards. It proves our brotherly trust. Nah, you just don't have anyone good enough to finish me off. You take me for Zhuge Changfeng, so weak that I need to resort to treachery to stay alive. Shuofan mocked. Fatty choked. Fang Qiubai grew red too. Shuofan wasn't pointing fingers but did hit quite close to home. Not even divine dragon Fang Qiubai could scratch Shuofan from the shadows. The rest of Imperial Palace didn't count. He was that confident. Fatty sighed. Brother, I know you are cunning and powerful across all the lands, but can you not sting me every time you open your mouth? I had the whole friendship speech going here, to get closer, yet you dumped it all in 3 lines and ruined the mood. Get closer. Fawning without reason proves you're up to no good. Shuofan mocked. Say it, what do you want from me? Fatty's beady green eyes steeled. Shuofan, it's just us here, so I'll be frank. Does our brotherhood stand? Of course it does. Did I ever break a promise? Shuofan stuck out his chin. Fatty nodded. That makes us brothers still. But you can't always pick on your brother. I am a monarch here. Taking my power has many implications, but you don't even treat me with respect. Could you at least spare my imperial self? Let me have something to survive with. What would a puppet emperor need power for? Shuofan raised an eyebrow. Didn't your pops ever warn you to sit back like a good puppy? Forget about the world, or it will soon come to burn you and your entire clan. This, here and now, is much better. Living the high life of an emperor, uncaring for its problems and taking on more serious matters, like losing that extra fat, you're like an immortal. What's not to like? Shuofan patted Fatty's wobbly belly. The fatty bit back. I am an emperor with an ideal and ambition, not to live in obscurity. And when we became brothers, I didn't offend you, so you can't do the same to me. Now, are you going to ruin my clan for my words? Fatty, You can say whatever you want. Zhuo Fan squinted. If I wanted to kill you all, I'd have done it by now. I just don't want to throw the lands in chaos and mess up my plans. And I still recall us never overstepping our bounds in those days. But how come you just asked for your power back? Sure, I can give it to you, all of it, though mind the consequences. Consequences? Fatty was erect with worry. Fang Qiubai interjected, Empire's 3 guardian sects. Exactly. Zhuo Fan nodded. Late Emperor's plan brought danger to his lands by encroaching on the sect's interests. If all had gone well, he'd be holding the power and the sects wouldn't doubt him. But since he failed, they've lost all faith in Yuan clan, looking into Tianyu for a replacement representative talking about fame and power. Only Luo clan fits the bill, thus we took all the power and benefits of the empire. In the off chance that we didn't become the Shadow Emperor, the sects would have just raised another clan and you'd still end up a puppet. It's all a matter of getting a handler here. Zhuo Fan smiled. We're all old pals here. Your clan and mine know each other well. Shuang'er, young Miss, and Princess Yongning are very close. Any trouble you may have, we can help you out, being flexible too. While with some other clan, how much better do you think you'll fare? Fatty trembled and sighed. He took Luo clan as his only opponent. Taking back his power from their grasp, he'd become a real emperor. Only to find his real adversaries were those sects, always in the shadows, always in control for thousands of years. The Fatty's hopes sank. Father wouldn't have carried out the secret Pearl Order if he knew. Secret Pearl Order? Zhuo Fan asked. Yuan clan actually has it. I thought the emperor was just messing with the board to play his hand. Fatty sighed. As the Yuan clan is doomed with its plight, the secret Pearl Order has lost its meaning. It is an order passed on to the next emperor on the previous deathbed. It's only for the emperor's ears and a standard of conduct, roaming dragon enjoying the pearl. Smiley face, funny enough, it's the name of a dish. What's that? Zhuo Fan asked. Fatty sighed. It is a secret path father prepared for me. To throw the pearl and let the dragon play with it. All Yuan emperors have done in the past millennium is to incite chaos among the factions, in order to weaken them. We all have to pursue this creed, or create the situation. If one couldn't, the War of the Houses 1,000 years ago, Jiyu Santong wrecking Tianyu 300 years ago, are prime examples. Even Luo clan's emergence, pushing the factions to fight. In simple terms, the emperor sat on his throne enjoying the play. While unity of factions will make the throne unstable. That makes sense. Zhuo Fan nodded. The way of rulers is all about checks and balances, impossible without hatred. Does that make the story about Windgaze City's 3 ancient houses a lie? Fatty shook his head. No, didn't I say, if you don't have the conditions, create them. To make it believable, everything had to be true. Just that, the founders' words were a catalyst, with each emperor paving the way for the next in case they didn't succeed. The 3 clans of Windgaze City were Tianyu's officials once. Planning for 1,000 years. Your clan is of imperial stock. Two-faced and using your posterity to exhaustion. Zhuo Fan sighed. Fatty nodded. An emperor leads a solitary path, surrounded by enemies. Even if an emperor is kind, it is seen as weakness, and he will ultimately be put down. Yet our clan lost to you regardless. The roaming dragon enjoying the pearl has come to a close, ruined at the outrageously strong hands of soaring demonic dragon killing us all. The two kept a long stare, then laughed. Fatty said, Brother, could you help me with something? What is it? Proposal. Fatty grinned. You know how fond I am of little Kuei. I vowed that the day I ascend I will make her empress through any means. With the current reversal, Veiled Dragon Pavilion will look down on the Yuan clan. So I ask you, brother, to help me. Zhuo Fan nodded after a while. No problem. I can ask them, but it's out of my hands if they refuse. If you plan on using my name to steal a wife, think again. Ha ha ha, the great steward Zhuo's mind is a maze. How could I ever use you? Fatty said, I do not want your name, just for you to help me. The Chuanrong Emperor sent a letter not long ago, to redeem Tuoba Taishan and the others by ceding Chuanrong's most fertile lands. I can only accept it with my seal. You will have to kill me to sign it, though. I'll never do it without little Kuei. I want to give this land to Veiled Dragon Pavilion. Veiled Dragon Pavilion would probably accept the proposal with open arms. But they have few men and the lands are at the border. They're sure to come to you for help. You have the Dugu army and can use it to absorb the Veiled Dragon Pavilion completely to achieve peace. We'll each get what we want. Zhuofan nodded. Nice one. You're just as wise as your father. Be honest now, have you ever thought of attacking me? Never. Fatty's response was quick. Zhuofan stared at him for a good while and nodded. I will help you. But leave the talks up to me, I can squeeze more conditions. I can't have you lose out with just a wedding. Ha ha ha, to you it might be nothing, but to me that wedding is everything. Fatty sighed. I can see my lands are forfeit, but I won't lose my love as well. I'd rather have the beauty over the lands. Chapter 509. The rivers each call their king. Chapter 509. The rivers each call their king. Zhuofan eyed him with doubt, though still trusted him. A shrewd man in the grips of love will never claw his way out. I'll be going then. Goodbye. Zhuofan walked away. Fatty sighed. Oh, brother, I always thought of attacking, but never had the courage. He turned to Fang Qiubai. The Yuan clan is now entering hibernation for a few days. I don't want to do anything. Let's go deal with the last variable. Fang Qiubai nodded and followed closely. The two arrived at the Imperial Palace's southwest corner, a prison for most heinous criminals. Zhuofan, wait. Walking out of the Imperial Palace, a soft voice called for him. He saw Yongning running over with Yun Shuang. Zhuofan asked, What is it, princess? I would like to thank you for defending Tianyu from Chuanrong's invasion, saving our people and easing father's crimes. She made a deep bow. Zhuofan mocked, Princess, you're no fool. Since I've ruined your father's master plan, worse days await your clan. Yet you are thanking me? I have to. I know father was wrong in his ways, earning the ire of everyone. This was just righteous retribution. I do not hate anybody. Of course you don't. How can your weak body hold it in? You always let it out in a hissy fit. Ha ha ha, Zhuofan teased, though I have to admire your father for the ingenious plan he came up with. Alas, fate wasn't on his side, with me and Shuang joining hands. Things might have been different otherwise. The princess merely gave a smile and a sigh. Father's success was only for the imperial family while the people would have suffered. I'd rather see my father fail than watch such an outcome. Yongning gazed upon him with pleading eyes. Zhuofan, could you please do something for me? What? Glancing at Yun Shuang's hopeful eyes, he turned to the princess. She mumbled, Big brother is guilty of regicide and patricide, his fate is death. But he is still my brother. I hope to see him, but I do not know where he is. Third brother won't tell me. I can only ask you. To avoid the scandal of the crown prince's crimes, Fatty said he died at the hands of Chuanrong. How do you think Fatty will handle him? Life in prison or death? Zhuofan eyed the princess. If it's the latter, he must be dead already. The princess panicked inside. Yun Shuang pouted. Well, is he dead or in prison? Beats the hell out of me. It's Fatty's problem now. Save it. Elder Li told me you have spies everywhere in the Imperial Palace, watching the new emperor's every move. Yun Shuang meddled. Princess lit up and watched him with hope. Since when is Elder Li's tongue so loose? Zhuofan admitted, Yes, I know where the crown prince is being kept. He is in the royal prison. See, can we go see him? The princes asked. Zhuofan refused. I and Fatty are sworn brothers. I will not interfere as long as he doesn't overstep. Yongning's mood fell. Yun Shuang glared. When have you ever been so righteous? Humph, all I hear is excuses. Don't help us, we'll just force our way in and say it's your orders. See how those guards stop us then. Hold on a minute. Zhuofan sighed in the end. Fine, I'll take you, but you are to speak of this to no one. I want to keep an eye on Fatty for some more time. His every move impacts his future behavior. The girls nodded with a smile. Zhuofan sighed and snaked his hands on their waists, his right eye flashing golden. We're off. Ah. The two blushed. Appearing in a yellow prison corridor, the girls shirked him off and watched Zhuofan point at the third cell. Crown Prince is there. The princess nodded with a lowered blushing head. Same as Yun Shuang, they were pure ladies. With Zhuo Fan making a move on them on the fly, they felt embarrassed, yet the main culprit only looked at them oddly. What's with them? 1 minute they nag me to bring them here, the next they stiffen up. The emperor has arrived. A sharp voice echoed in the damp prison and the girls panicked. Yongning whispered, Zhuo Fan, let's leave. Third brother is here. Zhuo Fan shook his head. No, with this prison being a secret, it's the best way to test him. I want to see just what is on Fatty's mind. And if his words are true. Keep quiet and don't move, Zhuo Fan urged. His eye lit up in 3 golden halos as he activated Mirage World Hum Tilde. The 3's images warped and soon vanished. Zhuo Fan had created an illusion to house them from prying eyes. Fang Qiubai and Fatty walked over Clang. The cell door opened and the 2 walked in to meet a very familiar figure. Crown Prince, though, with his sealed cultivation, his body was covered in wounds from all the torture. Big Zhuo Fan covered Yongning's mouth as she cried with a twisted smile. Fatty paced before Crown Prince. Big brother, I've been a bit busy as of late, with father's funeral and my ascension, so I couldn't see you. Crown Prince's pale face sized Fatty's new golden threads with a feeble gaze and he mocked, you fat pig, clothes do not make you an emperor. To think I fell to your hand. You sure kept it to yourself. Ha ha ha, I had to play the uncouth boor, endure with humility under faked civility, or you'd spare nothing to get rid of me. Fatty put on a winning smile. Crown Prince gnashed his teeth. This should have all been mine. Blinded by what's in front of me, I lost sight of the bigger picture. I have failed. Crown Prince sighed, then mocked, but there was someone else behind it all. Old Third, you're just a figurehead. How does it feel? The real winner is Zhuo Fan, no? Ha ha ha. Fatty didn't give in to the cawing in his ear. Yes, he is the true winner here. I knew that already. He may have been had by father, assaulted on every turn, but I didn't join them. I was convinced he had plenty of ways to return the favor. Father's win wasn't guaranteed. Oh, you were so optimistic, weren't you? In times when his allies drifted off, fighting father and the entire nation, the only reason those allies returned was because Regent Estate ruined their homes. How were you so sure that he would have the last laugh? Don't tell me you're a visionary. Fatty shook his head. The world shook at the shake of the Earth Dragon's tail. Then came the Celestial Dragon to quell the chaos. As both the Celestial and Earth Dragons exist, the land and rivers shall each call their king. This was High Priest Yun Xuanzhi's prophecy when Zhuo Fan swallowed Huangpu Qingtian's dragon soul and the world trembled. Zhuo Fan had been disrupting Tianyu since then and the factions were falling into dissent. It was then that father grasped his chance, enacting his great plan in wrestling power back into his hands. Crown Prince sighed, but the Fatty grinned. Wrong, it's all wrong. High Priest's words are an enigma. The first line, father could make sense of it, but he read the last line wrong. The land and rivers shall each call their king isn't an omen of the collapse of Tianyu. Think about it, what does rivers imply? Water. With water and each combined, you get what? Luo. The last line clearly states the Luo clan will come out on top, by providence. Smiley face, it's a play on words or characters. What? Crown Prince was speechless. Heaven decreed for Luo clan to replace Yuan clan. Chapter 510, Demons. Chapter 510, Demons. Turning back towards the Crown Prince, Fatty smiled. For this very reason I never crossed swords with Zhuo Fan and Luo clan, in fear of Providence's retribution. My position bears, in fact, heaven's stamp of approval. To hell with your approval, you're just a puppet. Is that something to take pride in? Crown Prince snorted. Fatty merely chuckled. Yet I am an emperor. Father's last words were, whatever you can grasp, it's yours. At least I have grasped the throne while dear brother of mine laments even failing to be a puppet. Why you? Crown Prince gnashed his teeth with a sadistic smile. Fatty clapped. Bring the medicine. Rotten ball of fat, what are you planning? Crown Prince cried. Fatty beamed. You used medicine to kill father, a scandal I had to cover up. But for father's revenge, I'll have you go down the same way. A servant approached with a reeking bowl. The awful stench was to die over. Yongning struggled to go there, but Zhuo Fan held her back, repeating over and over to stay calm. Crown Prince shuddered at every step of the incoming bowl of death. Damn Fatus, Stop justifying killing me with your petty excuse. If it weren't for me acting first, you'd have stepped in as well that day. You dare come at me playing the timeless virtue, a damn hypocrite. You're right about one thing. We're both cruel and sinister. Fatty raised an eyebrow. Easing my conscience by taking revenge the same way you killed father is one reason. While I'm more unsettled about letting you live. We have lost the trust of the guardian sects and Zhuofan limits my actions. If by some miracle you manage to escape, and use your name as Crown Prince to fight me, those sects will squash you and clan. For the safety of our clan, Big Brother, have an early hereafter. Fatty took the bowl to Crown Prince. Crown Prince couldn't even move, only snapping back, rotten piece of fat, you're gonna regret this. I never regret my actions, or I'd have never made it to the throne. Fatty snickered, his eyes shining with cruelty, as he pried Crown Prince's mouth open and force-fed the slimy medicine. Crown Prince put up a feeble fight. With his cultivation sealed, all he could do was seethe with hatred as the disgusting slime poured down his throat. Yongning was wrecked with tears, shaking like a leaf. Only keeping quiet thanks to Zhuofan holding her mouth. Fatty threw the empty bowl away and cackled. Ha ha ha, I can rest easy now. Ha ha ha, Fatty, joke's on you. You won't have a carefree reign even as a puppet. Crown Prince was bleeding from everywhere, his eyes bloodshot, yet laughed as he cursed. Fatty mocked, that's not for you to decide. What can a dead man do anyway? Oh really? Humph, you may kill me, damn Fatty, but don't think for a darn second you'll be at ease. There's someone else who wants your seat just as much. Second brother? Fatty snickered, thanks for reminding me. That brick head will cause a mess sooner or later. But you can rest easy now, knowing I'll make sure he follows you soon enough. Crown Prince cackled, ha ha ha, follow me? You'll have to find him first. What did you say? Fatty frowned and shouted, didn't father imprison him? What did you do? Crown Prince's face was covered in black blood, life ebbing out of his every pore, yet only his smile remained. I don't mind telling you. To make sure father's anniversary went as I planned and old second wouldn't flee in the chaos at Imperial Palace, I had set up some contingencies. First was poisoning the father and then killing your lard ass in passing. The other was to have someone take old second away. If I succeeded, old second would die. If I failed, he'll be my avenger, turning Tianyu upside down. Why did you do that? Fatty squinted, if father's plan had worked, Tianyu would have been Yuan clans. You are destroying our lands. Crown Prince mocked, my dear rotten fatus, have you forgotten father's teachings already that you just now preached? If I can't have these lands, I'd rather destroy them. Even if they're my brothers, ha ha ha. Crown Prince cackled and Fatty turned grim, how can old second do it? He isn't capable of that. Yes, he alone has no hope, and that is why I had prepared some things for him. One of those things is the same gift I had obtained for father, lands of our nation. Fatty blurted, Western lands' greatest man, Dan Qingshun? Rumor has it that whoever holds lands of our nation, Dan Qingshun will fulfill their wish. What, pray tell, do you think old second's wish will be? Crown Prince's eyes were mad. Fatty stared at him coldly. Dan Qingshun has been missing for 1,000 years with no one catching any sign of him. He may even be dead. This hope is a pipe dream. No matter how abysmal, as long as old second lingers on, Dan Qingshun will one day come to Tianyu. Your days as an emperor are numbered. Have a taste of constant dread looming over your shoulder, fat ass, ha ha ha. Crown Prince cackled as the light in his eyes faded. The proud smile remained even as he bled from every orifice. Fatty squinted and snorted as he stormed out of the jail. Put out a wanted notice for second Prince Yuan Yong. Anyone catching him dead or alive will be greatly rewarded. Yes, sir. The jail guard's shout echoed out. With everyone gone, Zhuofan turned towards the prideful but dead Crown Prince. With a flash of golden, he brought the girls out of their whoosh tilde. The trio returned to the same spot they had left from, and Zhuofan let the girls go. Princess Yongning fell to her knees, sobbing, Big brother, how could you do this to your third brother? It's simple. If he won, Fatty would have been the one lying in there instead. Zhuofan's flat tone came, Masking the chaos within, witnessing Fatty killing Crown Prince with such cruelty let him understand why Fatty was so at peace with his role. Perhaps it was Yun Xuanzhi's prophecy at work, that heaven could not be denied. Perhaps because of the three sects' ever watchful eyes, ready to snuff him out the instant he strayed like the old emperor. That's why he wants to end the princes, to safeguard his future. It will stabilize his position in the short term, while the rest would be left for the future. By that time, Luo clan would be a behemoth not even the sects could shake, and all of Fatty's machinations would not achieve anything, not while the greatest minds of Tianyu steer it. He could leave with an easy heart, breathing in and out. After so many years, my heart has found peace at last. Demons, all of them. Princess Yongning sobbed louder. She was oblivious to the deep-rooted hatred and hostilities between her dear brothers, a matter of life and death. All of it, just for the throne. Your brothers, of the same flesh and blood. You can't even let each other live. Zhuo Fan scratched his nose at her, crying, to be honest, I'm a demonic cultivator, practically a demon as well. Steward Zhuo, you don't count. Yun Shuang looked him in the eye with rosy cheeks. At least you want the best for Luo clan and the elders. If you're a demon as well, what will that make everyone else, devils? A chord moved in Zhuo Fan's heart and he frowned. I, a great and grand demonic emperor, true believer of the demonic path, is not a demon? Either everyone else is a demon or I'm straying farther from the demonic path. Zhuo Fan was perplexed. His heart was at peace, yet his mind couldn't pierce the ever-thickening fog. Is this my demonic path? He used to be so clear-headed, but it has kept getting clouded as of late. Am I to tread ahead or take a step back? Yun Xuanzhi's words came back to him. This life might be just another way of cultivating. And he regained calm. Regardless, the demonic path isn't definite. Just follow your heart. Xuanga, tomorrow we're returning to Windgaze City. Fatty's actions have put me at ease. Zhuo Fan spoke. Yun Shuang nodded. Yongning looked up at him and pleaded, Zhuo Fan, I beg of you to take me with you. I do not want to stay in such a painful place. Yun Shuang nodded before he could refuse. Of course. You'll come with me to Luo clan and live in the Yun clan. It's improper to take the great princess away. Zhuo Fan's dissuasion felt flat and Yun Shuang said, we're the biggest clan there is. What's improper about that? Come on. She pulled Yongning away, leaving Zhuo Fan speechless. How come even Xuanga has turned feisty, so out of her character? Am I a bad influence? Sigh, I'm such a bad uncle. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Chapter 511, Second Prince's Retribution. Chapter 511, Second Prince's Retribution. In a gloomy cave, Second Prince was asleep on a stone bed. Drip tilde. An ice-cold droplet trailed down the cave wall and landed on his head. He flickered his eyes open with a shiver. Your Highness. A deep voice came from his side. Second Prince looked through the haze at a kneeling man covered in black. Startled, he jumped to his feet and shouted, Who are you? Where is this place? Your Highness, I am with the Crown Prince. He had me rescue Your Highness. His tone was cold. His words flat. Second Prince recalled that on the eve of his father's birthday, someone barged into his cell and knocked him out. Next thing he knew, he was here. Second Prince frowned, looking suspiciously at the man. So you are Big Brother's man? Humph, what is he up to now? Father had me imprisoned for life and I am no threat to his throne. Your Highness, all Crown Prince has done is to save Your Highness. The man cupped his hands. Second Prince became even more suspicious. Save? That's not the brother I know. And who would want to kill me, father? Your Highness, many things have happened while you were imprisoned. In short, Third Prince colluded with the traitor Zhuo Fan, conspiring against His Majesty and Crown Prince. As the crisis came upon His Highness, he ordered me to save Your Highness in hope that Sir might one day restore the Yuan clan and eliminate those vile traitors. Impossible. Old Third is just a fat pig, he can't do anything. Second Prince refuted in mockery, or more like he could not once believe that where his rebellion failed, Fatty succeeded. That'll be the crown jewel of humiliation. Am I a bigger loser than even a fat pig? The man shook his head. With the Third Prince's ability, yes. But he had Zhuo Fan's cunning in catching His Majesty and Crown Prince unprepared, though that's not how the world sees it. Your Highness needs simply to take a walk outside and can learn who is the Emperor and who has the world third prince betrayed his ancestors, surrendering Tianyu to that foul Zhuo Fan and becoming a puppet. Luo clan now reigns supreme, holding power above the imperial dynasty. Whole of Tianyu knows. And they've issued wanted notices for your Highness, to weed you out. These are facts Sir may find out just by stepping outside. I am telling no lies. Second Prince eyed him skeptically, yet gave credence to the words in the end. Because these conclusions were simple to reach, he found them to be sound. Being stuck in a cell all this time, Second Prince was oblivious to the great civil war in Tianyu, of the Emperor and Chuanrong's deal and even Zhuge Changfeng's rebellion. At this point he'd gobble up anything that was thrown at him. The Man in Black's fabricated story was based on facts. That Luo clan was Tianyu's apex, and the Emperor had changed. What was more, the Second Prince was in complete denial that Fatty had it in him to become Emperor. He must have resorted to some underhanded deeds to pull through. Second Prince grew outraged, oblivious that he was playing into Crown Prince's hand of inciting chaos. The Man in Black's order was, if Crown Prince ascended, kill Second Prince; if Crown Prince failed, make Second Prince his avenger. Yuan Yong had become the departed Crown Prince's tool. The Man in Black grinned inside, hidden behind a grieving facade. Damn you pig, you stole my crown. You even gave away our lands. You are a stain upon Yuan name, a disgrace to our ancestors. Second Prince ranted, then sighed, alas, their power is beyond my reach. How am I to succeed in restoring our dignity, in getting revenge for father? Second Prince, Crown Prince has made plans. The Man in Black presented a black package. Your Highness, this is what Crown Prince has prepared for sir. Therein lies the hope of revenge, of restoring our nation's glory. Second Prince opened it to find 3 items. The first was a painting Second Prince was most familiar with. Lands of our nation? Why did you give it to me, big brother? Am I to find the long-lost apex of Western lands' power, Danqing Shen, to help me? That's not possible. He's been gone for 1,000 years now. Where do I even start looking? Second Prince shook his head. This is too thin, way too thin. He moved on to a hand-sized box. On opening it, he cried, what is this? A sparkling orb rolled around inside, just like an eye. The Man in Black bowed. Second Prince, it is High Priest Yun Xuanzhi's eye, capable of reading the stars. When His Majesty obtained it, he had tried hundreds of ways to pierce its mystical ability, only to fail every time and give up. Crown Prince had the chance to get it. It is unknown what it can do, but it must be incredible for sure. He has passed it on to you, in hope that it may help sir. Yun Xuanzhi's eye? Second Prince shook, eyeing the ocular organ, feeling a power taking over his mind. Staring at it for a fraction had him shaken to his core, his soul unsettled. He clenched his hand and took a good time to settle down. Evil. Putting it back in the box, Second Prince eased a breath. I can't use it for now, nor do I know how. I know my limits not to mess with it. The Man in Black found it natural. What could he figure out when the Emperor's whole gang couldn't for so many years? Second Prince turned to the last item, an ancient piece of cloth, engraved with a map. At a corner was an enlarged Yun character. Your Highness, this map was part of the Imperial Palace's treasury. Rumors say this map is what great ancestor used to find the Yun clan, their homeland. But with the Yun clan having gone from their ancestral home for so long, many have forgotten this detail. By following this map, Your Highness can find it. The man reported. Second Prince frowned at the 3 items, High Priest's eye, Yun clan's ancestral map and lands of our nation. Big brother wants me to. Correct. Yun clan's high priests can read fate, so their ancestral home must be the only place to unravel the eye's mysteries. By using the mystic eye, you might even catch Danqing Shen's trail among the flow of fate. The Man in Black cupped his hands. Second Prince sighed. Big brother is thorough to think of such a plan, of exceptional talent. If he could find Danqing Shen, he could take back more than just Tianyu Empire, even the whole Western land. Second Prince shouted, all right, since Big Brother has gone to such lengths, I will complete his design by finding Western land's greatest expert. Then, old Third and Zhuo Fan, your deaths shall be nigh. Second Prince steeled himself and the Man in Black slipped on a wide smile. Crown Prince, Your soul can look on in peace knowing your design carries on. Second prince is on the path you paved, your avenger. Meanwhile, Zhuofan paid Veiled Dragon Pavilion a trip to tell them about Fatty's proposal. Long Yifi couldn't be happier, agreeing on the spot. With 1,000 miles of rich lands at their disposal, anyone would accept. Though with it being on the border, carrying out operations was risky of course, he'd ask Zhuofan for troops and the man agreed just as quickly. Sharing a secret glance with his masterminds, everyone enacted psychological warfare on Long Yifi's mind by explaining the benefits of Luo alliance with so many upsides to it. Veiled Dragon Pavilion hopped right on the bandwagon. With one down, the other two allies weren't far away either, all coming over as easy as breathing, with Luo clan being the one true clan here. With them they'd live the high life, but against them, an early grave adding the three old weasels' sly and smooth speech into the mix. It worked to cower and awe the trio into falling in line to the extent that they thought they were the ones better off. It was Zhuofan's way of showing gratitude to the old allies for all that they had done, but when did heaven ever flung a pie in anyone's lap? Every single benefit they received was followed by an equal if not larger price. Having joined the Luo alliance, they'd make it big, sure, but they had lost independence, reduced to mere members of the Luo alliance, unable to direct their own development, and being at the whims of the organization just like the other clans were vassals to the houses. Only now, the relations were much tighter, yet still had a defined hierarchy. The alliance leader was a no-brainer, Luo clan, with the rest being members they controlled, not that the others minded. With the Luo alliance in inception, they'd get a little something, and that proved to be enough to forget about vapid stuff like freedom. Now came the time of consolidating Luo clan's power. Although Zhuofa had no hand in it, leaving it to the clan's newest steward, it was time to leave. Chapter 512, Farewell to Mortal Domain, Farewell to My Demons. Chapter 512, Farewell to Mortal Domain, Farewell to My Demons. Commander Tuba, let's meet again someday. Back in Windgaze City, Zhuofan had the Tigers escort Tuoba Taishan and the rest of Chuanrong to the borders, for the trade-off. With all of them having their cultivation sealed, the 500,000 Dugu army had no trouble escorting these 2 million prisoners at the foot of Blackwind Mountain. Zhuofan put on a kind face watching the Chuanrong army. But Tuoba Tieshan's reply was cold, even when cupping hands, let's not. I don't ever want to see you again. Ha ha ha. Commander Tuba surely jests the least we are as adversaries and should have each other's respect, no? The same way you and Marshal Dugu treated each other. Humph, I respected Dugu Zhantien for his exquisite military talent, but more for his character. While you're inhuman, all you do is trick, cheat and steal. And that flying tiger army is the last straw. Where the hell did you come up with such a dominating army? Tuoba Taishan clearly had some misgivings about his loss. Zhuofan laughed. He noticed the eyes of the Chuanrong generals having some resentment as well, but there was more respect and fear than anything. By fighting Zhuofan they learnt what godly skill meant. His leadership was average, but he more than made up with his twisted bag of tricks. At any given time, he would just pull something out of the hat so freakish, he'd make you pee your pants. No one wanted him for an opponent. It was too taxing to figure him out. Tuoba Liufeng was of the same mind. The 8 wolf wardens sighed, while only Tuba Liana had a complex smile and ended up shouting, Zhuofan, you still owe me half of those herbs in Beast King Mountain. What half? Please mind yourself, sister. You're my captive here. All of you are. I owe you nothing. Ha ha ha, Zhuofan teased. Tuba Liana blushed, whipping her head away and muttering, who's yours? Damn blabbing jerk. Zhuofan said a few words to the tigers before sending them off. He went to Blackwind Mountain's hall, which was packed with people. As it marked his final day as Luo clan's steward, he had to check everything to leave with an easy heart. Li Jingtian, Shui Qingjian, Qiu Yanghai, heaven and earth sages, step forth. The 5 people obeyed and bowed at his command. The sages had endless admiration for him too. They were in the 3rd layer of ethereal stage after 300 years of constant regret and suffering for being stuck at peak radiant stage. So grateful, they were devoted to the point of laying their lives down if Zhuofan ever asked them. You 5 elders are the strongest and shall henceforth be Luo clan's venerables, keeping clan head and young miss safe. Zhuofan spoke and the 5 nodded, yes, sir. Zhuge Changfeng, Leng Wuchang, and Yu Ming had a gander at Shuo Fan's true intentions in his time as steward. Shuo Fan only ever made Luo clan's strongest, elders at best. By lifting these strongest 5 to the title of venerables, he was absolving them of the steward's control. Shuo Fan copied the emperor, making the military and officials balance each other. Even with the bloodworms, steward Shuo isn't assured of young master's safety. He feared being unable to hold back these monsters. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. Zhuge Changfeng, Leng Wuchang, Yu Ming to the front. Shuo Fan called again. Shuo Fan said, Zhuge Changfeng shall be the steward of Luo clan, assisting clan head with the Luo alliance, effective immediately. Leng Wuchang shall be the overseer, in charge of Luo clan's resource collection and related matters. Yu Ming is to be the military advisor, assisting the Shadow Corps and Dugu army with foreign intelligence and raids. Startled, the trio resigned themselves. Yes, sir. Shuo Fan had effectively cut their jurisdiction, with each holding the other in check. Zhuge Changfeng had people to handle as he was in charge of the Luo alliance. Leng Wuchang was in charge of the economy, having a monopoly on all the resources. While Yu Ming had the military. These 3 powers helped each other while also holding each other back. It was obvious not everything was at their whims, flicking them away. Shuo Fan went on with his preparations and repeated warnings, to Lei Yuting and Lei Yuntian in particular. Being enemies with Yu Ming just wouldn't do. Yet with Yu Ming leaving Hell Valley for the Luo clan, the two no longer cared. At long last, Shuo Fan called Luo Yunhai to his side. Little brat, did you learn the gestures I taught you? Yes. Luo Yunhai was tearful, his words choking. Give it a go then. Shuo Fan snickered. Luo Yunhai made a sign and the hall was filled with all kinds of wondrous tonalities of pain and agony, resulting with the experts crumbling on the floor with the end of the torture. By another sign, they collected themselves and now had fear for the young kid. Shuo Fan actually gave control of the bloodworms to him. The next time any of them had bad thoughts about clan head, they'd be toast worried to the extreme. They each saw the bitterness in their neighbors' eyes. Shuo Fan smirked, nodding at their terror-stricken faces. Leaving without holding clan head in fear is not happening. Young miss, give me the thunder ring. Shuo Fan turned to the crying Luo Yunchang. She held the ring close to her heart as she denied. Why? It's mine. Do you want to take it with you? You won't even leave me a keepsake. Shuo Fan chuckled and shook his head. He used his eye instead of talking and the ring landed in his hand. Luo Yunchang went to take it back but Shuo Fan placed it in Luo Yunhai's hand, his tone stoic. Clan head Luo Yunhai, today this steward shall leave and with my return a mystery. I will be unable to see your clan head ceremony. I give you the thunder ring, for that the next time it flickers, know that I have returned. Shuo Fan's tone wasn't just for Luo Yunhai, but for everyone else, as a warning, don't you dare think my departure is final. You better behave. Luo Yunchang halted her step and held her mouth, with eyes swimming in tears. Shuo Fan had gone above and beyond the call of duty for the Luo clan. Even forced to go to demon scheming sect, all for Luo clan's safety or with Shuo Fan's skills, nothing and no one would ever catch wind of him leaving this time was because demon scheming sect had to have him. The times ahead could very well be dangerous and life-threatening. He might not even return in spite of it all. Shuo Fan's last thoughts were about Luo clan's safety. Swallowing the lump in his throat, Luo Yunhai forced himself to be calm as he raised his arm with the thunder ring and proclaimed, I, Luo Yunhai, vow that this thunder ring shall be clan head symbol for generations, Luo alliance's token of authority. This ring represents the clan head. No matter how big the Luo alliance becomes, it will be Steward Zhuo's supporter. No matter what danger Steward Zhuo may face, be it the 3 sects themselves, the Luo alliance will stop at nothing, not for resources and not for men, to help Steward Zhuo. Luo Yunhai's voice echoed out, filled with determination. Shuo Fan looked at his own thunder ring. I am no longer of the Luo clan, and any danger I face will be unrelated to them. Yet the Luo clan would stick with him no matter what. Such a display of devotion left him touched to the core. People looked at Luo Yunhai with respect. Although young, he was loyal, a rarity in this world. Watching the all-grown-up kid, Shuo Fan smiled, patting his head. He then walked past him and stepped out. People made way for him, watching the ineffable steward who raised a third-rate clan to be the best in Tianyu walk on by. Luo Yunhai shook, choked with emotion. He finally got a hold of himself to let out one last shout, Big Brother Zhuo, you must come back. The words carried far, while Luo Yunchang sobbed next to him, her eyes red from crying at the foot of Blackwind Mountain. Zhuofan walked among the shadows of the forest, his eyes glowing, feeling for his heart. It's not hurting. The demon is gone. Demonic Emperor Zhuo Yifan and the once servant Zhuofan were of one heart today, of firm belief that the Luo clan was safe. Yet even without the heart demon, there were many other matters inside his heart that he couldn't throw away. Chapter 513, Confession. Chapter 513, Confession. You're crying. No, something fell in my eyes. Zhuofan turned towards the cute voice, to see Yun Shuang and Yongning. He then looked away and blinked the lonely tear away and made a rushed excuse. Yun Shuang giggled and Yongning covered her smile, all while their fondness for him grew. Even this obnoxious and tyrannical steward had a hidden face. What are you two doing here? Shuanger, as the Yun clan head, weren't you saying you'd take your clan around Blackwind Mountain to establish an observatory? Angry, the two girls saw something unmanly. Zhuofan snorted to these two though. He looked like pouting and they laughed. Yun Shuang had a soft gaze. You saved the people and you took revenge for my grandfather. Now that you are leaving, I must see you off and give my gratitude. No need. It was all in passing, just by chance. Zhuofan shook his hand and mocked. I was never someone to do good, only thinking about ruining my enemy. If it were a righteous and benevolent ruler standing in my way, I might be the one throwing these people in chaos. My eyes only see my opponent and nothing else. Yun Shuang frowned, but shook her head. You always call yourself evil, and maybe consider yourself to be heinous, but unlike all those twisted people, you have a sliver of conscience. You're redeemable, that's why. Yun Shuang blushed and came up to him to whisper in his ear, these sweet words, I shall follow grandfather's wish and will always be in Luo clan, waiting for you to save you from eternal damnation and become a good man. Even if you aren't willing, I'll just stick with you forever. Zhuofan shook, his face taking an odd expression. He saw Yun Shuang blush harder, her clear eyes filled with unspeakable softness. Yun Shuang avoided his gaze and muttered, no matter if you want to or not, remember our promise. You must come back. Yun Shuang skipped away while hugging her face, though now her ears were red. Zhuofan blinked in a daze. What promise? You decided all by yourself without asking me. Just who could have taught her how to behave so rudely? Why does it feel like me though? Yongning giggled and presented a green bracelet with tender eyes. Zhuofan, look after it. My mother left it for me. We will be worlds apart now, but never forget me. Save it. There's no reason why I should take your bracelet, let alone always remember you. What the hell are you up to? Zhuofan glared glum. Yongning resorted to stomping. Are you dense as a brick or what? I can't be any more obvious than that. You're not happy unless I spit it out. Zhuofan raised a suspicious eyebrow. Yongning shouted in annoyance. Zhuofan, I shall inform you today that this princess has taken a liking to you. I have made the trip to Blackwind Mountain to be around you more and grow closer. Yet just as I've arrived, you plan on leaving. No choice but to use the last resort, exchanging vows through keepsakes in hope that you will never forget me. Wait, hold your horses. Zhuofan waved all over the place. Your Highness, are you high? We barely know each other. There's nothing between us. Isn't it a bit sudden dumping this on me now? Not one bit. Haven't you heard of love at first sight? Yongning blinked her purdy eyes. Mom used to tell me as a child that no matter the danger, never fear. Because Prince Charming will come from the heavens, holding me in his safe embrace and keeping the danger at bay. On that day, outside the imperial palace, the same moment my life was at peril, you appeared. It's just like Mom said. You're my destiny. Face twitching, Zhuofan sighed. Princess, that's just a fairy tale for children. You're too old to be reading those. No, this is my mother's will that I must honor. Just like Shuanger grandfather's will. Besides, you accepted Shuanger, so why not me as well? I do not care for being second since we're close as sisters. When did I do that? Zhuofan was confused. Didn't she just say she'll be with you for life? Not refusing is accepting. Someone like her, so kind and shy, taking the initiative is remarkable. And I too, shall lower my status by throwing myself in your arms, willing to share you with others. That's even more remarkable. Grinning, Yongning noticed the stars in his eyes, presenting the bracelet like a nice alluring auntie to a sweet little boy. Zhuofan, take it and we will be together forever in happiness. Gulping, the once fearless steward Zhuo crumbled in sweat on the battlefield of love with such a mighty adversary like General Yongning. They were right, women are just like tigers. Pee-pee princess, calm down now. I am but a nobody with even my life uncertain. You need to be cautious before being with me. Your end will be bitter. I am cautious. A wife follows her husband, she'll remain a widow for life, but I am more than happy to walk this path. Like you always say, follow your heart. This is what I'm doing, listening to your word. Yongning giggled with her eyes tinted with desire. Zhuofan grimaced and felt like slapping his rotten mouth. That's what I get from spewing crap. Now I have to answer for it. Princess, take it easy. You, a glorious princess, should have a better future. Like the 4 tigers, yes, they are renowned generals, always crying for a wife. Think them over. Don't want to. I only need you in my life, I am dead serious. Yongning blinked her charming eyes at him, even our tempers match. Match your head. I felt sorry for leaving Luo clan, but now I see that I need to get out of here fast. Thinking so, he then jerked his head and pointed behind her. Schwanger, did you come back for princess? Schwanger. Yongning turned. It was the window he desperately desired, and Zhuofan grasped it like his life depended on it. Yongning did look back at him, only to find him gone stomping. Yongning looked bitterly at the bracelet, her eyes clouded with anger. I only wanted you to take my keepsake to remember me by. I'm no tiger, so why did you run off? Humph, stinker. A chilly wind passed by her legs. Standing there, she had lost her lively spirit, now turned desolate with tears streaming down her face. She, a great princess, had just made her first confession only to be rejected like that somewhere else. Zhuofan appeared a mile away from Blackwind Mountain filled with trepidation. He didn't hate the ladies, but no way was he going to accept them. Their sincerity is touching enough, but I am a demon. He wouldn't fall in love out of principle. He had been like this all his life and it had turned into natural behavior. His heart was too heavy for it to contain love. While that made dealing with hypocrites a breeze. Wait. Another soft voice stopped him, and all he could do was look at the sky with a long drawn-out sigh. For the love of all that's holy on this God's green earth, am I the only man alive here? What are all these girls coming at me for? Zhuofan turned around lazily, only to jerk at the sight of her. It was Veiled Dragon Pavilion's Long Kuei. The lass never liked him, and every time they talked, they always ended up bickering, just like enemies. When Luo clan was still a no-name clan, this girl looked down on these hicks. For the same reason, he made the 10-year promise in anger that Luo clan would rise above all the houses. Zhuofan almost forgot it had been that long. But on seeing her, an evil fire lit up in his heart. Hey, damn lass, right on time. I'm gonna show off till you drop. Long Kuei noticed him jerk at her call, then a trepidation, and lastly confusion. But right now, he had turned evil, putting on a haughty look, his nose way high. She was lost to what came on to him. What's with him changing tunes in a split second? Did he hit his head or something? Chapter 514, One-Sided Love. Chapter 514, One-Sided Love. Heard you are leaving Tianyu, Long Kuei said softly. Zhuofan smiled. Word sure travels fast. Why, have you come to see me off? Of sorts. What matters is the promise from 10 years ago. Long Kuei smiled. Zhuofan was stumped. That was supposed to be his line, to mock the lass and put her down. Why is she the one bringing it up? It was the same as getting paid rent without asking for it. It made no sense. Long Kuei saw past his angelic face and smiled. 10 years ago I was young and rash, looking down on you in my ignorance and speaking out of place. I offer you my deepest and sincerest apology. Long Kuei made a deep bow. Zhuofan was speechless. All the work I put into showing off just got washed away. With the other person apologetic, he had nothing to build his act on. He could only shirk it off. It's fine. I already forgot such trifles. Ha ha ha. Liar. Long Kuei straightened up and her eyes took a crafty glint. You've surpassed everything that stood in your way these years, turning a nameless clan into a monster. A commendable act no ordinary person could ever achieve. I have seen your trail one step at a time and you have left me stunned every single time. I now understand why you mustn't look down on youth. Ha ha ha, you're too kind, please. Zhuo Fan chuckled, beaming with the pride of his achievements. The lass sure holds me in high regard. His pride was short-lived though, as Long Kuei drove her attack fully in, catching Zhuo Fan on the wrong foot. Crud, she got me. Though you can't look down on youth, is it fine to pick on defenseless girls? Long Kuei's tone had some bite. Zhuo Fan was lost for words. Long Kuei's apology was fake in order to condemn him. It was all smoke and mirrors to lift him high, only to slam him down to earth with a well-placed blow to the hypothetical gut. She fed my ego to strike back. The day finally came for even the grand Zhuo Fan to grow so complacent to fall for such a basic trick. Zhuo Fan worked his brain matter for some excuse, only to come empty, not getting why Long Kuei got so aggressive. He put on an awkward smile. Miss Long Kuei, why, may I ask, are you so angry? Why? You should ask yourself, humph. Long Kuei glared. Did you not go to Pavilion Lord with a proposal, to marry me off to that accursed tub of lard? Oh Tilda, so that's how it is. Zhuo Fan cooled on the spot, having grasped the reason. I was just the messenger. I didn't force anyone. The decision was up to Pavilion Lord Long. Though. What? Long Kuei frowned. Zhuo Fan snickered, though he's the only tub of lard offering such a grand betrothal gift. Pavilion Lord Long couldn't refuse even if he wanted to. In fact, I don't think anyone could. That's 1,000-mile stretch of fertile land. For Fatty to offer so much only goes to show his love for you. You will have happiness. Humph, my happiness is my business. A busybody like you has no right to interfere. Long Kuei's anger burned even hotter. Zhuo Fan slumped his shoulders and shook his head. All I did was to pass along a brother's words. You can be against it all you want, but take it out on Pavilion Lord Long and Fatty, not me. I'm leaving Tianyu and don't need any more annoyances. Zhuo Fan, playing the victim, only incensed her into shouting. Some brother you are. Would you have done the same if Fatty wanted Ninga? Zhuo Fan frowned. His heart a mess. His eyes darkened and his heart grew icy, but that didn't stop Long Kuei's berating. What if he went for Chu Ching Cheng? Would you play the messenger then as well? Zhuo Fan's heart sank, finding it impossible to make a coherent sentence. Just standing there with a hardened gaze, the answer to that was clear. A resounding no. Long Kuei struck a frail figure as she nodded. I see. Next month I will marry His Majesty. A shame the best steward in Tianyu, the great steward Zhuo, won't be there to see it. Long Kuei sighed, rambling on before walking away in silence. Zhuo Fan noticed as she turned, 2 trails falling down her cheeks. Zhuo Fan had a puzzled gaze as he saw Long Kuei empty inside and rambling on. Wasn't she blaming me just now? How is it that she's the one to leave defeated? Doesn't that happen after a big fuss or fight or something? Peculiar. Zhuo Fan shook his head and sighed, putting this affair behind him as he went on his way. Oddly enough, no one noticed Fatty and Fang Qiubai close by Fatty's side. Brother Zhuo, I can never take you on, but I can play little tricks. Your Majesty, this should make her give up. Fang Qiubai turned to Long Kuei. Fatty nodded with a wise gaze. The proposal would have worked with that stretch of land alone. But to have little Kuei look forward to the wedding is impossible, not while she loved someone else. Zhuo Fan. Fang Qiubai spoke firmly. Fatty smiled. Correct. Ever since Luo clan's ceremony, outside the imperial palace, I saw something growing in little Kuei for the brat. I was hesitating whether to fight such a man over a woman, only to find it wasn't necessary. Little Kuei's one-sided love was something he had no clue of, nor did he much care for her. This was little Kuei's path she had to take herself. So I had Zhuo Fan be the messenger, making it look like Zhuo Fan threw little Kuei into my lap. In pain, little Kuei had to come to Zhuo Fan to confirm it. Now she knows there's no place for her in his heart and should give up. A woman with a dead heart will be sure to accept her fate next to me, as Empress. What if Zhuo Fan finds out? With his mean streak, Fang Qiubai frowned. Fatty waved it off with a smile. No worries. Do you know why, despite his sharp mind, did I still get to use him? He never gave a damn about little Kuei, so he just overlooked everything. I borrowed his luck with women, but he didn't lose either. In fact, By having Veiled Dragon Pavilion enter the Luo clan, even if he did find out, it won't matter. I have finally grasped Shuofan's character. He is selfish and won't act unless someone encroaches on his people. Ha ha ha, Fatty's eyes shone with wisdom. He turned and said, Sir Fang, any news of the second brother? No, he has disappeared. Fang Qiubai shook his head. Fatty shouted, keep searching. Don't stop until I see him or his corpse. In the meantime, Shuofan went to the meeting place with the demon scheming sect. Then, cackles announced the arrival of 4 black smokes. They took the form of the 4 scheming demons. You're the one receiving me? Ha ha ha, that's great. Shuofan laughed. The 4 pygmies were ordered to return to the sect before the war with Chuanrong. By the Impermanence 5 they had spent too long outside after busting out of prison and had to get back to the sect helpless. The 4 pygmies returned to get their punishment. Shuofan figured he'd never see them again, either put in a corner or thrown in jail again. Yet here they were, as Xie Wu's men acting as his guide to the sect. He was pleasantly surprised. With the sect in a remote and hidden area, the secular world having no clue of its location, only its disciples could guide him there, and since they all knew each other, it'd make the trip easier. But the 4 scheming demons, on seeing that it was Shuofan, puffed out in cockiness, with Violent Demon presenting a jade slip with all the arrogance he had. Are you ready to enter our sect, new disciple? We are the Demonic Cultivator Hero Quartet, the greatest and handsomest in the demon scheming sect, for scheming demons, coming to receive you. State your name, age, birthplace, date of birth, cultivation. Do you shits have such short memories? Allow me the honor of refreshing it, of those thrilling moments long past. Shuofan made a sign. The 4 screamed in pain, now rolling on the floor from the bloodworms acting up. Steward Shuo, we'd never. It was all a joke, see. Let us go. Steward Shuo, we're just doing our job. You'll soon be a disciple while we have a higher status. You can't always treat us like this. Steward Shuo, it hurts. I can't take it. Make it stop. The 4 demons flounced around in pain and pleaded. Shuofan only smiled, his eyes icy. No matter how high you climb, get this straight. No matter where I go, I will never be beneath anyone. Chapter 515, Bumping into Mystical Heaven Sect. Chapter 515, Bumping into Mystical Heaven Sect. Steward Shuo, your temper hasn't changed, I see. Still as violent, ha ha ha. On a gloomy lone path, 5 people walked. A youth with a sinister smile and 4 5-foot midgets. Violent Demon was fanning Shuofan and sucking up at the same time. Shuofan mocked, do you think less than half a year is enough to change anyone? Then again, you 4 shits only get more outrageous after a few days away from my side. You even had the nerve to show off to me. Steward Shuo, please, that was just the perks of the job. Wimp Demon explained, besides, the sect is filled with nasty people, always acting tough to the newbies. We were only helping you stay out of trouble. Shuofan raised an eyebrow. Did you just think I'll be railroaded? The 4 jerked and shook their heads at once. Violent Demon cuffed Wimp Demon over the head. Ignorant fool, who do you take Steward Shuo for? It's already a miracle if he doesn't railroad others. But if others did that to him, that's a death sentence. All bobbed, Shuofan included, others aside. If you 4 don't know me by now after all this time, now that's ridiculous. A mere demon scheming sect, an average sect of the mortal domain, can't have anyone that can stand up to me. Shuofan's grin widened. Violent Demon checked the time and was all wishy-washy. Steward Shuo, there is the matter of overdoing things. We should hurry along, since we're already late. It won't do for us to earn sect leader's ire. Let's fly at least. Where's the fire? I've been cooped up in Tianyu for years, and now that I get to travel, can't I enjoy the view, have a taste of the great outdoors? Shuofan shot him down. He had no intention of fitting in just yet. Who knows when he'd get out? He'd need approval for any outing or relaxation once institutionalized, and with no place to vent, he'd go stir-crazy. So if he could drag it out, he'd go the distance, on foot. The 4 scheming demons, though, were feeling quite tense. It was a mission from the sect to receive new disciples. Being late would get the sect leader on their backs, the one who they couldn't mess with yet. He paled in comparison to this new guy, the great Steward Shuo. Having fed them bloodworms, they'd be on someone's bad side no matter the choice, and the four felt like crying. Since when did taking in a new disciple become such a toil? To any rowdy disciple, there were so many ways to get him to wait on the guides. By the time they reached the sect, he'd be a meek lamb, while on this lord before them, the usual tricks never worked. In fact, they'd be happy if this steward stopped waiting on them, to say nothing of what other dirty tricks his twisted mind might cook up. One wrong word and it'd be hell on earth. This is no new disciple, but an ancestor's detail. Steward Zhuo, think of our fond times together and help us out a little. Let's fly. We can just carry you if you want. Going like this will really make us run late. Violent Demon implored while sobbing. The other three put on sad faces and puppy eyes. Zhuo Fan eyed them and snorted, "What are you scared of? Xie Wuyue invited me in. You think he'd mind some slight delay? Bro, he won't mind it with you, but he'll ruin us." Violent Demon cried a river and wailed, "Steward Zhuo, we've risked life and limb in the old days, for you. You can't always treat us like dirt, or the sect leader will have us thrown in a thunder prison for another century." The others nodded with pleading faces. Zhuo Fan shook his head and sighed, "Fine, we'll fly as a favor for those days. But you'll carry me." "Yes, sir." The four grew ecstatic and Zhuo Fan shook his head. Xie Wuyue must have everything in a tight grip to have even these wild and unpredictable pygmies wrecked with fear. The four joined hands in lifting Zhuo Fan high above. Zhuo Fan closed his eyes, feeling soothed just like in a deck chair. The clear blue sky, the warm rays of the sun, all felt like utter bliss. Though the fighting sounds from the nearby woods broke the mood. The four scheming demons looked at each other to see the glee in their eyes. Someone's fighting. "Let's have a look-see." Wimp Demon said. Thrilled Violent Demon was in total agreement. "Who is it, I wonder? Sucker Ruckus is bound to be interesting." "Even if it is, should we go? We don't have much time left to return." Scrooge Demon calculated the pros and cons. Sly Demon asked the final question, "Do we go or not?" After a moment of silence, looking at each other's eyes, the four's decision was unanimous. "Damn right we go." They threw Zhuo Fan off their backs while they turned into black smoke to go in the battle's direction. Zhuo Fan had some me time, basking in the sun's warm glow, only to have a very rude awakening. Smashing face first into the ground with a raging glare, he searched his quarry, to find none. Blast and thunder. Now I see why Xie Wuyue would want to throw them in prison for a century. It'd be a thou dash 10,000 years if it were me. Zhuo Fan patted the dust off of him, his face burning with rage. And noticing the sounds, he flew straight towards it with an insidious mind. "You like to watch, don't you? See how I'll make you the stars of the show." 15 minutes later, Zhuo Fan found the pygmies at a valley entrance. With their butts stuck out and heads in a bush, Zhuo Fan grinned and grabbed them. "Now I got you, you little shit." The four panicked all right, yet for some odd reason they kept shushing him while pointing at the bush. Zhuo Fan paused, noticing it was an odd behavior even for these clowns. Curiosity got the better of him as he let them go and stuck his head into the bush. The valley was more like a trench. Their bush's position offered a good vantage point and clear view to the sheer drop below and the two groups of men at the bottom. One was clothed in black, with the character for soul written on them, exploding with savage energy, demonic cultivators. While the other side wore all white with the word mystical sewn in golden on one of their shoulders. The two sides were in a deadlock, their eyes only for the small plant with 3 leaves of red, yellow and blue between them. Its intoxicating aroma was felt all the way up to the spectators. 9th grade spiritual herb, tricolor soul-fixing grass. Zhuo Fan muttered. Violent Demon used this prime chance to suck up. Steward Zhuo is wise and far-seeing. It is indeed the rare tricolor soul-fixing grass. The pill made from it can protect one's soul from scattering. Even after months of soul drifting, you'll still be at peak. It is the most rare and precious herb in assuring an ethereal stage expert's life. Zhuo Fan nodded. For anyone below the ethereal stage, it would keep their soul in one piece and save their life. If he had it when Ninga's soul was wounded, he wouldn't have needed Xie Wuyue. While in the case of an ethereal stage expert, it would slow down the decay of the soul while devoid of a body and help them seize another. If Elder She had it, he wouldn't have panicked so much on losing his body. Tricolor soul-fixing grass was such a rare safety measure that one would be hard-pressed to find it even in sects. Which explained the impasse below. "Do you know who they are?" Zhuo Fan asked. Violent Demon nodded softly. Steward Zhuo, those in black are from the Demon Soul sect, demonic cultivators like us, both of different factions. Their sect is even stronger than ours, best left alone. While the ones in white are on our side, from one of Tianyu's 3 guardian sects, Mystical Heaven sect. But righteous and demonic factions can't coexist, walking different paths. Mystical Heaven sect. Zhuo Fan was shocked. Isn't that the same one grandmother said Qing Cheng went to? You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.